Okay, thank you. Well, welcome. Welcome to those that are sitting here in council chambers and then also to those that are joining online. As we begin our council meeting this evening, we have a tradition, and it is my favorite tradition, as I look out at David Ferdinand, who is joining us this evening to lead us in prayer. So David, thank you. Let's stand as he leads us this evening.
So do we do the pledge too?
Whichever way you would like to do it. We normally pray then pledge, but
Pray then pledge, okay.
God
I just
first.
wanted to make sure I was in the right order.
You're good.
All right, I'm going to share with you from 1 Timothy 2, 1 and 2. I urge then that first of all, those that petitions, prayers, intercession, and thanksgiving be made for all people, for kings and all those in authority, that we may live peaceful and quiet lives in all godliness and holiness. Join me in prayer. Father in heaven, we pause and ask your blessings on the proceedings this evening. We thank you for all that you have provided for us in this, our community, and our community leaders, for our mayor, for each city council member. Give each one special wisdom for their deliberations they will be a part of. We pray for our city, our police, our fire departments, department heads, and our NAMPA staff and employees, and all the city as they provide the services to each of our citizens. We pray for all the services provided in our community to those in need and those in abundance. Thank you, Lord, as we set aside time to acknowledge all you provide for us each and every day in every season. We ask these things in the name of your Son. Amen.
Amen.
I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. David, I'd like to tell you thank you. For those, and maybe for the young people here, Ferdinand's legacy goes deep in our community. From his father, and I believe your grandfather, is that correct? That began here. Tell us that real quickly.
1913, my grandfather was the first pastor at First Church of the Nazarene and the first president of a school called the Idaho and Oregon Holiness School. And his letter to receive teachers, which is on the wall in the Ferdinand Suite, if you want to see it at NNU, says, we will lift this preparatory school to a university as soon as God permits. And that was 2 years later. So 1913 is the anniversary date of the starting of NNU as well. But my family's been here a long time. Most importantly, I have a lifetime card as that I can go to any events at Nampa High as a Nampa High graduate.
Oh.
Yeah, so I just want you to know, now I got to come see the cheerleaders.
Yeah.
Anyway, thank you, and we are not only
What year was that?
a part of the community for a while. What's that?
What year was that?
What was it?
When
The
did you
year?
graduate?
1967. We have some of the greatest graduates. 383 graduated in our class.
That was a big class back in 1967.
Well, we had one high school.
Yeah. That's pretty amazing. Well, thank you. Okay, so let's move forward with a roll call.
Rodriguez. Rodriguez.
Here.
Bruner.
Here.
Machi.
Here.
Levi.
Say it one more time.
Levi.
She may be having a hard time unmuting.
Haverfield.
Here.
Present.
Okay. And Bauer.
Okay, so Mark, that's going to be interesting dealing with Sandy's audio today. I'm not sure what we'll do with that, but we'll deal with it as it comes. Okay. Okay, Sandy, you might look at that if you're on a phone and on a computer. Okay, I'm sorry, I have a tickle in my throat. This is so hard when you get a tickle in your throat and you're on a microphone. So, proposed amendments to the agenda. We have a correction to item 5.2, changing the address. And I'm going to switch just one second. The address is listed as 824 13th Avenue South, Nampa. It was listed, and it was to be 824 First Street South, Nampa. Other than that, I am not aware of any other amendments to the agenda. Is council aware of any? Seeing none, I would stand for a motion to approve the consent agenda with the correction as noted.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Rodriguez,
Yes.
Brunner,
Yes.
Levi,
Yes.
Bauer, Mucci,
Yes.
and Haverfield.
Yes.
Okay, tickle solved. Excuse me for that. Okay, the next item on our agenda this evening is a proclamation that we have. And let's move to that. I'm going to read through the proclamation, but is Bart Buckendorf here? Hi, Bart. Thank you for joining us. Feel free to come forward and I'll read the proclamation, then we look forward to hearing from you. Thank you so much for joining us, and I'll give you this when we're done. Whereas sudden, unexpected infant deaths, which are titled SUID, is the sudden and unexpected death of an infant, birth to age 1, in which the manner and cause of death are not immediately obvious prior to investigation. And whereas sudden infant death syndrome, which we call SIDS, is a subset of SUID and remains the #1 cause of infant death between the age of 28 days of life to 1 year. And whereas the tragedy of SUID can happen to any family, regardless of race, ethnicity, or economic group. And whereas evidence-based research has proven that when babies are placed in a crib alone, in the parent's room, on their backs, on a firm mattress with a fitted crib sheet, using no crib bumper pads, pillows, blankets, quilts, stuffed animals, and toys in a smoke-free environment, they will sleep safest and reduce the risk of SIDS and prevent many other infant sleep-related deaths. And whereas the Northwest Infant Survival and SIDS Alliance is a statewide nonprofit organization dedicated to providing infant safe sleep education, bereavement support services, and creating community awareness around preventing sleep-related infant deaths. And whereas during the month of October, the Northwest Infant Survival and SIDS Alliance will hold special events, including Run for the Angels, which was Sunday, October 3rd, where they distributed safe infant sleep educational pamphlets, cribs, wearable blankets to families in need, therefore providing the best opportunity for all babies in Nampa to survive and thrive. Now, therefore, I, Debbie Kling, Mayor of the City of Nampa, do hereby proclaim October 2021 as Safe Infant Sleep Awareness Month in Nampa, Idaho, in order to raise awareness about preventing sleep-related infant deaths and to encourage infant safe sleep practices so that no parent will have to endure the tragedy of the death of a baby. Thank you so much for joining us.
Happy to.
Tell us a little bit about what you're working on.
I'll read this page. It's large print, of course, so it shouldn't take long. Sudden unexpected infant death kills more children in the U.S. than opioids, guns, and suicide combined. Just last year, 3,500 babies died from sudden unexpected infant death, or SUID, in the U.S. SUID is the #1 cause of death of infants aged 1 month to 12 months of age. 90% of these deaths, we believe, were preventable, and over 50% of these deaths happened while sharing a sleep surface such as a bed or couch with an adult. According to Idaho State Vital Statistics, Health District 3, which includes Canyon County, has the 3rd highest SUID death rate in the entire state. I am Bart Buckendorf. I was with Ada County Paramedics for 35 years. I'm now a volunteer board member of Northwest Infant Survival and SIDS Alliance, or NISA. It is an honor to be here today to witness the reading and signing of a proclamation by Mayor Kling. It is my hope to bring awareness to sudden infant death and the immediate and vital need for safe sleep education for anyone caring for an infant in the city of Nampa. NISA is the only nonprofit serving Nampa that provides awareness, safe infant sleep, and child passenger safety education and training and bereavement support to this community. We pride ourselves in spearheading this proclamation in hopes to eliminate preventable sleep-related deaths in this community and to bring awareness to the need for bereavement support for those affected by pregnancy, infant, or child death. As a paramedic for that long, I saw many infants who died in their sleep. I can't seem to forget the crib full of toys with barely room for the now dead infant. The adult quilt stuffed around the baby in the bassinet. Listening to the mother as she explained that her baby was sick, so she took her to bed with her. I can't seem to forget the wail of the mothers. On behalf of myself, my family, our local partners, and the families we serve, thank you, Mayor Kling and Nampa City Council, for your support tonight. Please remember my story and the need for safe infant sleep education and training when deciding on safety regulations for our child care centers and other topics involving childhood safety. Our children's lives truly depend on you. And I can't tell you how thrilled I am to have such a large group of my target audience right here behind me. And I hope these young ladies remember in the distant futures when they have their families that please put those babies alone on their back in a crib and never in an adult bed. You're very welcome.
Thank you so much for taking the time to come. It's appreciated. Education is critical. I know just in the last, I think, 30 days, we've dealt with this in our local community.
Okay.
And the grief that is caused, and I think you're right, for every young woman here, when you have a baby someday, those toys are cute, and the temptation to go to bed and have that baby sleep right next to you is so great. But recognizing if we really want to protect them and do what's right, we need to not do it.
In our, when someone goes online and attends one of our classes on the internet, we mail them a sleep sack, which is a wearable blanket, so the blanket can't get up around the baby's face or throat to possibly smother them. And that's really the only thing that's allowed in the crib is that wearable blanket, and the pacifiers are great, and that's it.
Okay, so the next baby shower, that is the gift.
Yes.
That's the
sleep
gift,
sacks.
is
Yep.
a sleep sack. Thank you so much. I appreciate you being here.
Thank
Thank
you
you.
very
Thank you
much.
for the work you do.
Uh-huh.
Okay, take care. Thank you.
have that?
Oh, yes, I do. Sorry. Yes. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
The next item on the agenda is the Nampa residents wishing to speak for 3 minutes, and we have a special group of people here, which is our Bulldog cheer team. And Victor, thank you so much for opening the door and creating the invitation.
Welcome.
Yes. So I think we have a presentation.
I have to ask a question, though. Did you make our Chief Huff blush when you took a picture with him?
I don't know. Possibly. Thank you for inviting us. I really appreciate it. I'm going to let my captains speak first, and then I will follow up to help show our routine that we won an award for and explain a little bit about our program itself.
Hi, Mayor Kling and City Council. My name is Lillian MacArthur. I've been on varsity for 4 years now and a captain for 2. I'm super honored to be a leader on this team and to be here today to represent Nampa High cheerleaders. First of all, thank you for having us here today. It means so much to me, my team, and my school. Some of the very many things that we represent on our team is diversity, equality, and success. As Nampa High cheerleaders, we represent all of Nampa because we constantly carry that name literally on our backs. Our coach, Kelly Rich, came in the year before my freshman year and completely reshaped the cheer program at Nampa. She saw potential in so many no matter what they looked like, and transformed them not just into athletes, but also incredible young adults with the high expectations she had for us on and off the mat. There are so many people with so many unique backgrounds, but that has never shaped the way you were viewed on this team. I come from many different ethnicities like Salvadorian, Mexican, and Spanish, and never have I been viewed differently because of it. Everyone is applauded for their love of their culture, and being able to speak so closely to Hispanic Heritage Month means so much to me and others like me. Over the past few seasons, this team has consisted of such a diverse group from all grades, colors, genders, heights, and so many other things that helps us represent what makes Nampa High unique. I remember our first competition my freshman year. We expected very little success from it because we compared what our team looked like to other teams and saw their uniformity and looks as a strength. The next thing we knew, they had called our names for first, and that's when we realized our diversity was what made us stand out and be stronger than all the other teams. Ever since then, our accomplishments have only grown. In 2019, we won districts for the first time in a few years. Then in 2020, we won districts again, and the year before we placed third at state, and then this year our state got canceled because of COVID. But then the year after, 2021, we won districts for the third time in a row, and we're 1 point away from winning state. One of the remarkable things about our diversity is that we can also unify in our Nampa High pride. When my team first used to walk into a competition, we would be given looks of doubt, but now every time we walk into a competition, even though we may not look like everybody else, we intimidate others because they know that Nampa High cheerleaders walk with Nampa pride and always bring back success home to our city, which they always give back to us as well. The support we receive from our community is outstanding and greatly appreciated. Thank you. At this time, I'd like to give the mayor a gift and name her an honorary Nampa High cheerleader.
Oh. Oh, thank you so much. Ah. I love it. I'll put it on and take a picture and send it over. That is awesome. Thank you.
Thank you. Hi, my name is Bailey Brown, and I'm also a Nampa High cheer captain. Thank you so much for having us here today. So since my freshman year, I've also been involved in the marching band and a varsity cheerleader, which you can imagine is really difficult. And a lot of our other girls also have careers or are involved in other Nampa High programs. And being a part of it has given us so much pride, being able to walk around and say that we're a part of one of the best programs in Nampa. Thank you so much.
So you can see how excited they are to be part of our program. There are some foundational pieces that I put on, I think, most of your tables. I'm embarrassed to say I did not know who John Wooden was until about 4 years ago, which my husband is a basketball star, so he scolded me, but then I just scolded him back for not sharing who John Wooden was earlier. When I read about John Wooden and his pyramid of success, I decided right then and there that that had to be something that was put into our program and on our wall. So we practice in the auxiliary gym, and it's very large. And so at the time, my assistant coach, Stephanie Higgins, she and I brought out the cricket and just cricketed the wall to make that pyramid a constant reminder. So after games, we award our athletes that are exhibiting certain principles built onto the pyramid. And at the end of the year, we give out awards as well that are based on those principles. We talk about the foundations of that pyramid and how when we apply all of those building blocks, that is when we achieve competitive greatness. And that is the success that our team is built upon. I'm very, very proud to coach these kids. They leave a legacy that Lone Star and West Middle School and sometimes South Middle School kids watch and strive to be part of. It's a very, very powerful feeling, and they know it. And it's really exciting to watch them perform when they embody all of those principles on the pyramid. So I have our routine that we are going to watch. It is our show routine. I'll give you a little backstory while he's getting it prepped. So when you go compete, there are 3 routines that you can put into the competition itself. There's a show routine, a palm routine, and a sideline routine. The show routine is weighted heaviest with the amount of points. So our competition is typically the Bonneville Bees. They like it when Nampa shows up because it makes them work hard. So does Blackfoot. I got an email this week that said, we're sad that you're moving to 5A because we like to say, compete like Nampa. So what you will see is this routine that you will watch, won. It took first place at state. So it had the most weighted points. Our palm routine took third by half a point. And so when they looked at the scores, had we gotten just a half a point more on that palm routine, we would have been tied for state champion, which our routine that won was weighted more. So we would have been state champions. So we missed it by, depending on how you look at it, a half a point or a point. But either way, COVID shut Nampa High down a lot last year, and it did not shut the East down the way that it did up here. And our girls and guys at the time fought to stay in shape and work. And so that is quite a commendable placement at state. So here you go.
No tearing us down, no breaking us up. We stand united, and that's why we can't be touched. Now and forever, we will always come together to be sure we dominate the stage. Here we go now, check it out.
Kelly, if I might say real quickly, that is so impressive. Thank you, guys. I'm impressed. And you know what? this pyramid of what you're talking about, that aligns with the foundation of this community and what we were built upon for the last 135 years. As we researched and are celebrating that milestone for our city, you guys exemplify that. Thank you for being role models. I love the fact that the diversity that you talked about and what you guys look like, when people saw you walk in, maybe that wasn't what would say, hey, they're going to win. That is the most wonderful example of life, of what you're walking out. So I just want to say thank you for who you are. Stay true to that. And Kelly, thank you for your leadership. And I will wear that proudly. I was a varsity cheerleader, and so in Olathe, Kansas, not here, but a city very similar to here.
Yes.
So, and we were the Eagles back in the day, so I will wear that proudly. Thank you.
As long as you weren't the bees, we're okay.
We were not the bees, no.
So this morning, I asked my captains to come up with words that they thought exemplified what they want to see out of these teammates. And I made one for you as well. So you get a gift from us.
Thank you so much. Sandy Levi's not here, but we can leave one for her. If you don't mind, we'll see that she gets it. Thank you.
Coach, where are the three young men?
The three young men, so one graduated.
Oh, okay.
And one is doing all-star cheer, and one
Great.
decided to not just be by himself. So he said he might come out next year, so we'll see.
Mayor Kling?
Yes.
Kelly, don't sit down yet. So one thing that I wanted to point out that I was talking to Kelly about was, go ahead, if you would, please.
I could feel the 5-minute timer going. So in the past, prior to COVID, the girls and guys would go participate in Rake Up Nampa. That was one of our community services. This year, we're going to participate in the Veterans Day challenge. From what I understand, the money that we raise will go towards the disabled veterans, and we're partnering with the girls' soccer team. So we're going to be out on the track with all the sweatiness and loud music to keep them going. So, yes.
And also, besides that, the girls have to have a 3.2 grade point average. And besides everything else that they do, it's amazing to me that they have find time to help our community, and that's really important to us as a community. And building what these young ladies will eventually become parents themselves, and they'll see what it's all about.
They will.
Thank you for what you do.
Yeah, you're welcome. I think it's important for you guys to know that they get up and practice at 5:30 in the morning. In years past, it's been 5 days a week, but I was able to petition for an evening practice share with the basketball team. So I'm holding my ground. We'll see how it works when basketball starts. But yes, it's quite the commitment. We start in May and we don't finish until March. So yeah, so they are very dedicated.
Thank you, girls.
Congratulations. Thank you. We appreciate you being, yes, you are welcome. Yes, you're welcome right now to go ahead and exit. No. Have a good practice. Thank you, Kelly. Thank you, girls. Thank you, Amy.
Uses the women's restroom.
We do have one other person signed up to speak this evening, and it's Cindy Hartley. And Cindy, thank you for joining us. So as you come, go ahead and share. And while you're coming, we'll read your address so that it's done and you don't have to. So it's Cindy Hartley, and she is at 747 West Kinghorn Drive, Nampa. Cindy, thank you for joining us. Hi, boys.
Sorry, kids.
Yes. Mark, thank you.
I don't know if I need to move it down or not. I knocked it over last time. Thank you. I am here as, my name is Cindy Hartley, and I am here to, sorry, I'm a little nervous. I wish to thank both the council and the mayor for the chance to speak before you again on the behalf of the disabled community as well as our children and the elderly. Earlier this month, an important project was presented before you that would have provided safer and more accessible use of Lake Lowell Avenue. I know that more projects, I know that more projects with accessibility in the goals will also be coming before you as we all strive to make a difference in Nampa, to make it a safer place for all of our citizens to travel, both drivers and pedestrians, young and old, families and individuals, able-bodied as well as the disabled. I understand that these decisions are complex and difficult, and that the right thing to do is not always easy to accomplish, nor is it always popular. I'm here, though, to ask you to remember our most vulnerable and to consider the impact that will be made to the disabled community, as well as our youth and elderly citizens, with every decision made. That impact will be strong, whether it is a positive one or a negative one. Those of us that need your help the most are among those that struggle to make it to these meetings in person. You may not always see us, but our need to be remembered is always here. You have power to make a difference from where you sit. You have power to make sure that the most vulnerable are not forgotten. You demonstrated such when you voted to make the Roosevelt and Midland intersection safer after a terrible tragedy, as well as when you decided to vote on the side of safety with the Roosevelt project that helped create safer access to the Wilson Trail and a nearby school. We need your help to continue turning Nampa into a safe place for all citizens to travel to schools, parks, grocery stores, and more. The city is my home, and I love it. The harsh reality, though, is we are seriously lacking in safe and accessible paths for our most vulnerable. We have many areas that are not even up to ADA code with the amount of crumbled or missing sidewalks and ramps. We need you to fix that with the decisions you make. It is not the easy thing to do, but it is the right thing to do. A wise man once said, "What is right is not always popular, and what is popular is not always right." You make a powerful impact with every decision, and we are counting on you to make those impacts positive and good. Thank you for your time and your ear.
Cindy, thank you very much for coming, and I really appreciate your voice. And as Jeff Barnes can attest, we sat on a meeting called Today with Compass and saw a presentation related to ADA parking accessibility and also pathway accessibility. And I just want to communicate my commitment to you that that is an assessment that I would like to see our city do. And so we're going to be talking about that at a later time. But thank you so much for coming.
As far as parking, there's actually 2 accessible parking spaces in your own lot that aren't done correctly. A wheelchair van cannot access City Hall unless they park at the Civic Center. So it's really something that we need help with. And people like me can be a voice, but people like you have the power to make a difference. And that's why we need to be a team.
I agree. Thank you. Well stated, and thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you. I've asked Cindy to be part of our team as we move forward, and so I want you to help us.
I will do everything I can.
Thank you. Council, did someone else want to say something? Okay.
Yes, Mayor.
Yes.
I spoke with Cindy a couple of times, and she's right on with this information, and I applaud you for stepping forward and showing us the right direction, and so, thank you. And besides that,
Thank you.
she's got a neat personality when she's not just in front of us.
I'm a little nervous when I'm in the podium with a microphone in my face.
Yes, you are, but thank you.
Thank you, Cindy. It's
Thank you.
appreciated. Is there anyone else that had intended to speak this evening during this 3-minute time frame? Okay, seeing none, we'll move on to the next section of our agenda, which are agency and commission reports, and we don't have any this evening. And so staff communications. Rodney, thank you for providing us with the quarterly density report.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. This is going to be pretty darn quick. You all have this in your packet. And I just wanted to highlight the map that's in your packet and just highlight the numbers that we're seeing in this past year. We take it for a full year. Each quarter, we show you the numbers for an entire year. So preliminary plats over the past year have, we've covered 839 acres, 116 multifamily units, and 2,499 approved single-family lots. And those are kind of all over the place, which is, it's a little different than what we've seen in the past. We've typically seen that northeast and southwest development, but we're seeing these kind of all over the city, or at least the boundaries of the city. And happy to focus on any if you want, but those are all in your packet and listed. And just a reminder that these are not going to show the multifamily units that are approved as just part of the building permit process. If they have a single lot and they have the zone that allows them to not be subdivided and still provide multifamily units, they could do that. And so that's not reflected here. And again, in January, we'll do the full entire year review and go into a little more detail about all those things that we keep talking about. This is the final plat. So again, the preliminary plats are who knows how long out, but at least several years out typically before you see those get developed. The final plats are more immediate. You're gonna see these in the very near future or already occurring. So over the past year, these are the final plats that have been approved. And as you can see, to the northeast and southwest and even just the west, we've seen quite a few of those developments be approved. I heard it mentioned by the mayor and others just recently about growth and the speed of growth in the past 10 years versus the 10 years previously. And our population hasn't grown as fast as the previous 10 years. However, the development has grown significantly. And so you will likely see, as a result of this, you will likely see some of that population increase dramatically as these get developed over these next few years. So for final plats, we approved 288 acres of final plats. Multifamily, we approved 80 units, and single families, we approved 1,024. And then finally, the smaller version of these plats is the short plats. Pretty small, 6.5 acres, 32 multifamily units, and 15 single-family lots. Oh, and I'm not even showing where those are at. Those are typically your infill development. And I'd be happy to stand for any questions.
Rodney, could you do me a favor and explain the timeline associated with the different platting processes from a planning perspective? How long from a preliminary stage, and I know this is a guess, right? We don't know, but can you just talk about that, kind of what you estimate?
Yeah, I don't know if my guesses are correct because each one is very unique. Sometimes a preliminary plat will be followed almost immediately by a final plat. So that's a guess, but a preliminary plat is probably at least 3 years out before we see anything done. A final plat, maybe 1 to 2 years out. Preliminary plats can go a good 7 years though, a lot of times. So in recent years though, we haven't seen those preliminary plats stick around as long. We typically see a follow-up with a final plat much sooner than we have in the past. And then short plats are kind of combined, so they're immediate.
Thank you. Are there any questions?
Mayor Kling?
Yes.
Hi, Rodney.
Hi.
This is great. Thank you. You said that population growth hadn't increased at the rate that it did previously?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so the past 10 years weren't as fast in population increase as the previous 10 years. So 2000 to 2010.
Seems so hard to
So
believe.
1990 to 2000, we grew by approximately 23,000. From 2000 to 2010, we grew by almost 30,000. 2010 to 20, the most recent census data showed us growing by 18,600. Now, those aren't to the exact number, but right in that range. So I found that very interesting to see that where everybody was talking about growth, actually the decade prior, we grew significantly more than the most recent decade.
Yeah.
So this development was forecasted for this next growth period?
Yeah, so what happens here is we are seeing record numbers of preliminary plats and units being approved than we have in the past, right? So the population is going to follow those approvals and construction of homes. So you could see a dramatic increase in population growth over these next 10 years because of the record number of plats being approved and the number of units being approved on those plats.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Mayor, off the subject question, just because this map does show some enclave, in the future, not tonight, would it be possible just to express to us the number of acres of enclave in the city
bet.
limits of Nampa? And the other question I would have is the number of acres that are actually subdivisions compared to individual lots.
Yeah. Yes, we
In
can
the
provide
future,
both
I'm not
those.
asking you for that tonight, I know I've seen a map 2 or 3 years ago that really shocked me, and I'm just curious where we are now with enclave areas. I know we've had several, folks asked to be annexed, so, thanks.
You bet.
Thank you for asking that question. Is there any other information that council would find beneficial to receive from Rodney in a quarterly update? Or even in just like the next council meeting? Okay, if you have ideas, let us know. We'd be happy to provide the updates. Rodney, thank you so much. Good job. Thank
Mayor
you.
Kling?
Yes,
Excuse me, Rodney, not yet.
sorry.
Our community has spoken about the growth in the city and how much we've expanded our population. And one concern is that the infrastructure is not keeping up with our growth. So is that a misnomer, or are they right on? Or are we suffering from the extended growth that's going on?
Yeah, great question. And it's a little bit challenging to answer, but I will do my best here. Infrastructure, so every project we bring before you, we look at the infrastructure to determine whether we have the capacity to serve them. And so I would say that, yes, that claim that we don't have the infrastructure to provide service to these developments is unfounded. However, I will say that transportation will often follow growth. We use impact fees for transportation. And so in order to cover the cost of improving the roadways to improve capacity for that transportation, it kind of has to follow that growth. We don't want to build a bridge to nowhere or a roadway to nowhere. And so we try our best as a city, and Public Works has plans in place, CIP, to identify when they anticipate that need will be. And then we budget accordingly and build according to the need.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, very good.
Thank you. Our next staff report, I believe Nate's going to provide it for us. Thank you, Nate. Thank you, Tom.
Good evening, Mayor.
Good evening.
Good evening, council members. Tonight, short report, just wastewater, just about the 18th month that we'll present a budget for the Phase 2 upgrades project. And where we stand today is the project budget is set at $190 million. $165 million of that is through the state's revolving fund loan. We have $30 million under contract. We've completed $22 million of work. And a couple events or meetings coming up later this month and into November are going to move us towards construction for the largest project under the Phase 2 upgrades. So we have October 28th, we're going to present the construction package for the design build project with Jacobs to our design review committee. This will be the culmination of 3 years of input and involvement that this committee's had, and it'll be the final package along with the construction cost. And that will set us up for coming back to City Council with a contract amendment to start construction on that package of work. That'll be November 15th. Staff will present the design build construction contract amendment. All right.
we
Any
have any-
questions?
Nate, thank you for those updates. I appreciate it. Are there questions for Nate? I tell you what, you've done an amazing job, and I just want to say thank you. Working with the contractors, with Jacobs actually, on their process and the design review. Tom, thank you. It's been an excellent process. You guys have done a great job. So thank you so much for your work.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank
It's been a
you.
great time working with the team.
Yeah. Council, if you have any questions, these guys are available to answer them. So please feel free to reach out. Thank you. Okay, we're going to move into new business. The first item on the agenda this evening is item number 5.1. This is an action item. This is a council decision on the appeal filed by Phoenix Aviation regarding the denial by the Nampa Airport Commission to provide flight training and aircraft rental services at the Nampa Municipal Airport. And as we get ready to go, I think I'll just mention, so we do have the Nampa Airport Commission that is an advisory commission. And so with that, they have provided their comments, and then this action is coming before City Council for final determination. Todd, do you have any additional comments?
Thank you, Mayor. Just kind of tee this up for the council, and then we'll let Jeff proceed, and you all make your decision. But this isn't a public hearing, so there's not public comment. The Airport Commission is an advisory board, and so whether to enter into agreements regarding use of the airport is up to the City Council. That's your decision tonight. There are requirements in the code that have to be met. There are also, part of that are the FAA requirements that apply to the airport. My understanding is that, you know, the applicant also have an opportunity tonight to offer any comments. But at the end, you essentially have three options. You can approve entering into an agreement and require that one be brought back, or you can deny the request, or you can send it back to the Airport Commission for further work to bring back an agreement if possible. So those are your options. I'm happy to answer any questions, but I know Jeff and staff will give you kind of the basis and background in addition to what's in your packet.
And then following Jeff's presentation, we will have the applicant share. My preference is if we can keep comments to 5 minutes, but no longer than 10 maximum. There we go. Jeff, thank you.
Thank you, Mayor and City Council. You have a lot of information in your packet, so I'm going to try to summarize it briefly in this presentation. I do want to introduce, some of you may not know, Lindsay Johnson. She does an outstanding job at the airport. So she is the administrative coordinator, and she handles all the FAA grants. There's not a question that I ask her that she can't answer. So, and there's a lot to answer on the FAA side, the Federal Aviation side. So she's here to answer the technical questions tonight. So with that, before you tonight is an appeal. The Airport Commission denied Phoenix Aviation Flights Training School a business license. So just to give you a background, the airport minimum standards are very important. They lay out, they're for all businesses, they lay out the rules and regulations and the minimum standards. And they go through things such as facilities that are needed and are convenient and readily available, proper insurance, that the owners are technically sound, that there's financial backing, that the pilots provide background and health records. This is dangerous activities. And so there is specific requirements, and it's all executed through a written lease. So why an airport minimum standards and the rules and regulations? Well, it protects users from unlicensed and unauthorized services. If you went to the airport and you entered into to get training, they assume that the airport has looked through the business. Promotes orderly development of airport land. Provides clear distinction between unsatisfactory and satisfactory uses. Requirements must be reasonable and uniformly applied, and that's so there's fairness to each business at the airport, and it protects providers from unreasonable competition, which is something that is what the document is designed for also. In this case, there's 2 other flight schools, to give you an idea, at the airport and are operating and meet the minimum standards that we're talking about tonight. And that's Av Center and Wings and Rotors. They both offer flight schools. So timeline for the Phoenix Aviation proposal. In May 2021, the commission and the staff was informed that Phoenix Aviation was operating a flight school business on the airport without a license. So soon after that, in June, staff sent a cease and desist letter after some discussions to Phoenix, letting them know they were in violation. The airport rules and regulations and minimum standards were included in the mailing. And then upon receipt, Phoenix came in and talked to Monty Hassel. And I haven't mentioned Monty. He's at the Helena Airport Convention, but he does a fantastic job. He's a superintendent out there. So in July 2021, the commission tabled this request. It was presented, the business plan was presented from Phoenix. They tabled it because the business plan was incomplete. They requested balance sheets, operating procedures, assigned a facility agreement. They didn't have an agreement to have a facility on the airport to operate a business out of. In August 2021, Phoenix returned. The commission tabled it for a second time, and then that list below is a similar list to the first time. The agreement had not been signed with a facility, a balance sheet, instructor certificates and licenses, aircraft logbooks, insurance, business operations plans. There was a number of items that the commission mentioned. In August of 2021, the staff, the mayor, myself met with Phoenix Aviation to try to work through this. And then we sent them a communication the next Monday after our meeting, and it really outlined what the requirements were for Phoenix to move the business forward. And it was very specific, and it was also based on the outline commission request from past meetings. And then in September 2021, they came back again for a third time to the commission. And in this third version, the commission denied the request. They didn't table it, but denied it. And then they spoke of there wasn't adequate technical and financial documentation. The customer facility agreement still wasn't signed, so there wasn't a secured agreement for a facility yet. And then the complete insurance coverage were incomplete. So with that, I just want to reiterate what Todd said. There's 3 decision points, and legal gave us direction for this. So one is to approve the application, grant the appeal, and direct the airport commission to create an agreement that would come back to the council for formal approval, or deny the appeal and the matter is closed, or remand the issue back to the airport commission or its designee with direction to try and reconcile concerns and issues raised in the staff summary letter. And with that, we will stand for any questions that you would have.
If you don't mind, I have 3 questions.
Yes.
I'm going to start with my last question first, since you just mentioned it. In the September 21 date, when the commission denied the request, it said one reason, something that was still lacking, was a customer facilities agreement. A question I would have for you is, how do they sign an agreement if they don't have the approval? Right, so how does that work? I'm just a little confused on that one.
Phoenix would have 2 options to move forward for customer facilities. They could be working with a sublease with an existing lessee on the field, or be leasing ground from the airport to develop for commercial operations.
Say that last one again. I'm sorry, I missed it.
The 2 options they would have for customer facilities would be to be working through a sublease agreement with an existing lessee on the field, or be working into a land lease agreement for ground on the field to develop for their operation.
Okay. Okay, perfect. Is there ground available for that?
We do have commercial ground available still at this time.
Thank you. Okay, I have 2 other questions for you, and let me go back to them. So, a quick question, was this information, as you outlined tonight, already provided the same information to Phoenix Aviation? So they've got all of this information, is that correct?
Can you confirm? Yes, they have everything in the council packet except for this PowerPoint presentation tonight.
But the PowerPoint, and my question, I should state it differently, the information in the PowerPoint presentation, whether it be a different format, has been provided to them. Is that correct? this information has been,
Mayor
whether,
and City Council, right. This is just
Yes.
reiterating what's in the council packet, and they have this information.
right, so that was that. And then the last question is, the flight school, that you said that there are 2 other flight schools on there at the Nampa Airport, is it for the same type of aircraft? Are the flight schools for the same type of aircraft?
I would have to verify which aircraft both of the flight schools are using and to teach with at this time. Different schools typically have different aircraft available, but that's something I could go back and get some more data on from Ab Center and Wings and Rotors of which aircraft they're currently using to instruct with.
Okay, and so that would be a question, when we're saying that, yes, there are already 2 other schools, are they providing the same service that someone else, or is this a different service that they're looking to provide than someone else is providing based on the aircraft?
These would be the same services, just potentially different aircraft used for instruction, but the same pilot licenses. Ab Center also offers aircraft rental. They're only renting to their students, not general public at this time.
You say they, meaning Phoenix Aviation is only, who
Ab
is-
Center is only renting to their students and not general public. And that rental services were one of the things that Phoenix was offering as well with their flight training.
was rental services. Okay, they could rent aircraft. So there isn't anyone else providing that service at the airport at this time?
Currently just Ab Center, who is only renting to students and
To
not general
students.
public.
Okay, thank you.
Mayor, may I ask
Yes.
2 questions? I guess I don't understand, how does a business operate without showing their license to the airport administration? I mean, how did they even start operating? I'm not understanding that.
From my understanding, they have access to the airfield and began offering flight instruction to the general public. When staff knew about this, started investigating, said, this is not an approved business by the Airport Commission, and that's when the cease and desist letter was sent.
Yes, I would think before they could even unlock the door that they would have to have a license showing somewhere and someone would be. So I'm not judging, I'm just don't quite understand that process. Number 2 question is, so it looks like they were met with the commission on 3 different occasions. On the second and third occasions, there were still areas lacking. Was it made very specific on all these 3 occasions, exactly what they needed to present to the commission?
Yes, the commission did review especially the second time, the missing documentation. That documentation was also sent through a staff email to Phoenix Aviation after the meeting that Jeff mentioned that happened between the mayor, Jeff, staff, and Phoenix Aviation.
Okay, maybe I need to ask Phoenix, but did they give some reason for them not having this prepared and ready for the commission? I guess, for lack of better terminology, what was their excuse?
I would ask Phoenix Aviation their
Okay, I will.
response, yeah.
So you don't recall, though, hearing what their reasoning was?
I believe it was a misunderstanding of what was requested. The first time with balance and the balance statements and the profit and loss statements, the
We're
commission
talking
asked.
about insurance
Yep.
policy here. I mean,
Yep.
to me, though, those are basic, yeah, we got two premier business people on this council. I mean, that's just something that seems like to me to be routine, so, okay,
Yes.
thank you.
If I could provide response to that.
Okay.
One of the reasons why we had the meeting with staff was to ensure that the direction that was given at the commission meeting was put in writing.
Good.
So that there wasn't a misunderstanding, because it was very easy to kind of be talking apples and oranges from just a conversation. And what was important, I felt like, was that we needed to provide actually written documentation as to what is required. And so the first and second meeting, I think that part of that was the case, was not fully understanding what the requirements were, and we wanted to make sure that they have. And that's why I asked the question, that everything, even though this is a different format, for tonight, just for the presentation, the content is the same content that has been provided in the staff report and to them previously. Okay.
So Mayor, may I ask you then?
Yes.
Between the second and third, was it in writing? What was
Yes.
expected?
Yes.
Okay. And still, there were some things lacking, I'm seeing here. Okay, thank you.
Are there any other questions?
So Mayor, the only question I would have is, are there individuals from Phoenix Air that are going to be speaking to us?
Yes, as soon as we're done with staff report, yes. Okay, thank you so much. If there are no further questions, we'll have the Phoenix Aviation team come forward, and I appreciate you taking a minute to introduce yourselves. As you come forward, give us your address, name and address, which is our standard procedure, and thank you for joining us.
Good morning, or afternoon, evening, Madam Mayor, members of the council. My name is Shannon Robnett. This is my son, Devin Robnett. I'm at 851 Front Street, Boise.
I'm at 2340 South Garland Street in Nampa.
I've been a general contractor here in the Nampa area since I graduated from high school at Capitol High. And yeah, well, you know, you're an architect. We've always been on the opposite side of the page, Randy. So,
Nampa guys over there.
Two Bora guys here.
yeah, well, I've been using his sky hooks for years, so we know where they came from. But, you know, we really want to take a minute to say thank you for everything that Nampa does do and everything that is provided in Nampa. I built my first business out here. I built my first commercial building out here out on Newby Street when that project failed as a LIC. There was the grants out there. And I've always known that Nampa is a place that you can build business. I've worked with Jimmy Brown for a long time. And you always used to come in and you just used to ask at the counter and used to get help and everything used to be there. As things progressed and things got going faster and more technologically advanced, Nampa staff has done an amazing job of being able to put those into checklists, put those into a look at this, do this, sign this, do this. In fact, we were part of the 60 units of multifamily that were a part of your 80 that were approved in the last quarter, and we thank you for all the hard work that Parker had in getting that through. We're still working on the development agreement, but we're right there and getting it done. And so this is the community that I grew up in, and this is the community I built businesses in. And we started out there in 2019, and I had bought an airplane, and I was working with one of the guys that was an instructor at the Av Center. He was helping me get certified in my aircraft, and he asked if he could teach a couple other students. We didn't think anything of it. That's kind of how this whole ball got rolling. In 2019, I think we provided about 50 hours of instruction from other certified instructors. We always carried the policy that is required. We carried a policy the size that the city requires. It just didn't name the city as additionally insured. That was the one thing that was missing there. To go back and talk about what is needed in the area, Ponderosa Aero Club is over at the Boise Airport. They have 5 aircraft. In the last 2 weeks, those aircraft have flown 92 hours. Silverhawk has 5 aircraft at Caldwell. In the last 2 weeks, those have flown 149 hours. The Av Center has 2 aircraft. In the last 2 weeks, those aircraft have flown 21 hours. So we have a seriously underutilized airport. And the only thing that I can think of is that there's not enough aircraft out there. There's not enough instruction happening out there, and more things need to happen. In fact, the last 2 weeks we were operating before our cease and desist letter, we provided 46 hours of instruction. So with that, to say that we've done everything right is impossible. We haven't. The first meeting, we walked into the meeting, we were told that our application was tabled, we walked out. There was not a list of things that we were to do, and as you guys know with meetings, the meeting minutes were approved at the second meeting, so the August meeting was when the meeting minutes were approved, when we would get a copy of them. And it simply said that our application was tabled. The second meeting was more thorough, still left things to be desired as far as what we were trying to do. Now, we only process about $4.5 million worth of draws a month. My bookkeeper put together the financials. I don't know what's missing. It's the same financials we provided to a bank. We're just closing next week on a $29 million loan. So maybe there's something there that we're missing. We're more than happy to look at that. But as you guys know, there are not facilities at the Boise Airport that are for rent. So we had a sublease agreement that we had worked out with another party, but we were waiting on that chicken and the egg. We had a sublease agreement ready to go. Once we were approved, we would then bring that back to council or the airport commission because it would have to be approved by them in order for that to work. And the insurance that needed to state that Nampa City was additionally insured needed an address. So I'm asking you guys to help us help the Nampa community by allowing us to go back, provide a standardized
financial statement that we can provide for Phoenix Aviation. We gave a copy of the insurance that said that it would be in good standing as soon as an address was filled in. And we have a lease, a sublease with a person on the airport, with a business on the airport. We would love to take down a piece of land. Of course, that would affect our financials to build a building to start a flight school. So those are the things that we're lacking. We're not very far from the finish line. I think we're very close. But we would like it if we could get some help in getting this through for the community so that we can then rival the numbers that are being accumulated of flight training hours in Boise and in Caldwell and bring those tax dollars into our community. Thank you guys for your time. With that, I'll stand for questions.
Mayor Kling. Shannon, what type of aircraft do you train?
I have a Cessna 172, we have a Diamond 20, a Diamond 40, and a Cessna 152.
So do you know if the other flight rentals or services, are they different planes than you
Yes.
use?
All of ours are single engine, but ours are, and you'll hear this about every pilot, mine are a little bit different in that the avionics inside of both of my aircraft, the Diamond 40 and the 172, are all digital. They're all Garmin 1000 and Garmin 750, and nobody else on the field provides that. In fact, nobody in Boise provides that.
Are they pressurized?
No, sir.
So as far as providing the financial statement, the sublease agreement, and the certificate of insurance, was there anything else paperwork-wise that you were lacking?
From what I understand, that list right there is pretty inclusive of those are the three things we need to provide.
And there's no reluctance on your part to be able to provide those?
No, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Do you have any questions?
Mayor, so how close would you be to getting the insurance? You just need?
About 24 hours. Okay. We already have, to be clear, we already have that level of insurance on our aircraft now. The only thing that's missing is it has to have the city of Nampa additionally insured, and when you do that, you have to provide an on-airport address.
Thank you.
And a business liability policy, which we already have through other businesses of mine. So we would just need to provide a specific one for this company that's a standalone.
Are there other questions?
Not from them. I do have a question following, but not to you. Thank you, Shannon.
Okay. So council, we don't have any other questions at this time for the Robinettes?
I'm good.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you guys
Appreciate
for your
it.
time.
Thank you.
Mayor-
Okay.
Mayor, my
Yes.
question is, do we have anybody here at all from the commission? Are you representing the commission?
I am representing the commission.
Okay, and I'm just curious on how many commissioners are there?
We have five airport
And
commissioners.
what was was there a vote actually taken?
Yes,
And what was the vote?
they all voted to deny the business application at the September 13th meeting in favor of
And
denying.
did they give, it's kind of a repeat question, but did they give their reasoning for denying?
At the meeting, it was not made clear why they were voting to deny the, from the minutes, the commission, and I believe I put in your packets the commission minutes. The issue was the lack of insurance being in place and having been in place, and the financial statements being incomplete.
And from your recall, did you hear the same type of representation verbiage that we heard tonight? And I guess the other commissioners would have heard this also.
Yes, the sublease agreement does need to come from the lessee on the field, which we have let Phoenix Aviation know that. We've not heard, until today, we had not heard from a lessee on the field that they had entered into a sublease agreement. I spoke with a lessee today who said that they are working through an agreement and hope to come to the commission in November with a potential sublease for Phoenix Aviation.
And I realize Monty is not here, so I'm putting you on the spot, putting him on the spot a little bit, but he's the director of the airport.
Yes.
What is his opinion on this? There surely has been some verbiage from him, I would think so, but I realize he's not here to represent himself, so it's secondhand.
Mayor, City Council, so that's what the rules and regulations are for. So the staff looks at the rules and regulations and gives that, and the commission's making a judgment based on that. So all these things are in there. If Monty was here, he'd say we need to adhere to the rules and regs.
Okay, He's the CEO of the airport, and I realize there's a commission, advisory commission, is my understanding. So as a CEO, just like Mayor Kling, she does, she breaks any tie votes and makes a lot of administrative decisions. So my question again is, would he deny this request as the commissioners have? That's what I'm hearing from you. I'm pretty black and white on these type of things.
I think we're supporting business. It's part of our core value too. So we want businesses to flourish out there too.
Why I'm kind of.
Yeah, so if they adhered to that, if they met the requirements of the rules and regulations, they can have a business. That's what.
And I would like to just clarify, any decision needs to be based on the merit of the policies. No personal agenda should come in, or any personal opinions should be brought into this decision. So the decision is based on, evidently, and I guess the sublease agreement, the facilities agreement is not in place yet, but it's in process. And they said that, and in talking to them, and this is new information that you have today, is that correct?
That's correct. That's as of today.
As of today, there is a sublease agreement, and they're waiting on that sublease agreement to come forward. So a denial would be based on what they felt like was the merits that were there. So new information today is there is a sublease agreement that evidently it was an address on the insurance. Is that what you were understanding? I mean, because Robnet said that they could easily do this.
From what the Robnets have said with their insurance, yes, that they just need an address to have the policy in place. We do need to review the policy to make sure it meets what all of the other flight schools are providing within their land leases. It includes liability, hangar keepers, product, and completed services. We'll want to review their policy to make sure that it does meet those standards once they put it in place.
So I'm going to ask a clarifying question here. You're saying that the Airport Advisory Commission did not review the policies, no review took place as to whether or not they met the qualifications, other than there being an address. Is that correct?
The policy that was given to the commission shows the liability in place. It shows not covered or exclusions for hangars keepers, and the product and completed policies part of the policy. So we would need to review that with Phoenix Aviation, those exclusions, to make sure they do meet the standards that are set for aircraft training schools at the airport.
Okay.
Mayor Kling?
Yes.
Should this be remanded back? What would a realistic timeline be for them to meet the obligations of what is required? Because hearing from him, it sounds sort of simple. But if it was probably that simple, it would have been done. So what is realistic? Because I know we all are in the business of trying to help people do business here. What would that timeline be? Because I don't really see that.
Mayor and City Council Member Mucci, we're in the business too for business too. So I think that the new information about the facilities, I mean, personally, that's a big deal, because they didn't have a place to operate their business out there. They didn't have a signed sublease agreement, and they said it was a handshake agreement, but that's not good. I mean, we need something more than that. So that's good new information. We can certainly work with them, work through the commission.
I would say I'm sorry. I'll make one comment, and then Councilman Haverfield.
As long as you don't let her talk again.
Yes, okay. Councilman Haverfield is. It sounds as though the lease agreement that's in process will be at least November before it comes back. So I would anticipate that we would need to give a time frame enough for that to be completed. Does that lease agreement then need to come to City Council? Sublease agreement, I should say.
We've had a consent to sublease agreement prepared for other lessees on the field. So we would work with legal to prepare that consent to sublease agreement, and that would come back to council for your signature if the council were to recommend that.
So that would tell me that we've got to finish that process, then it has to go on a council agenda, which would be the next agenda. So I would anticipate you would want to allow at least 60 days, not put a timeline shorter than that. You could get it done in 30 days, but I think you could, that's hard to say. Councilman Haverfield, excuse me, and thank you for speaking up.
Gene kind of stole my thunder because that's the same question I was going to ask. Yeah.
It's getting scary around
I was just going to ask, what would be an acceptable time frame to be able to get that taken care of? If it'd be 30, it sounds like 60, so you tell us, because I'm of the opinion that we remand it back to you to work with the Robnets to get this taken care of. That's my opinion.
Is that a motion?
That's a motion, if you'll.
I'll second.
So the motion then would need to be 60 days then to be, okay. So I'd make the motion that we remand it back to you to work out with the Robnets, the agreement within 60 days.
Mayor Kling.
Yes.
Council
So it's been moved and seconded, and now we're in discussion.
So Council President Haverfield, should they not meet that 60 days, would it then be just denied? Or would it come back?
It would come back to us, and at that point, we would make the decision. And at that point, obviously, Darrell's position would be probably that.
Well, there'd be denial if something's not accomplished in 60.
I think, head shake from you guys, 60 days, you can get it done? Okay. All right, that's
Okay.
our motion then.
It's been moved and seconded that we remand the issue back to the Airport Commission and/or its designee with the direction to try to reconcile the concerns and issues raised in the staff summary letter and to have it completed within 60 days. Is there any further discussion? Roll call.
Rodriguez?
Yes.
Mucci?
Yes.
Levi?
Yes.
Bauer? Yes. Bruner?
Yes.
And Haverfield?
Yes.
Thank you. We appreciate
you,
the work
Mayor
on
and City
this.
Council.
Thank you.
Thanks very much.
Thank you to the Robinets for joining us this evening. Okay, we're a little late getting started on public hearings, but we will now move over to the public hearing portion of our agenda. And our first public hearing is a zoning map amendment. This is item 6.1 on the agenda. This is a zoning map amendment from residential professional to light industrial zoning district and a potential development agreement at 512 North 39th Street. This is a 0.47 acre parcel, and this is for Nick Barnes. Is Nick with us? Is the applicant?
online.
The applicant's online? Okay. Would someone mind changing out the screen from the current screen? Who has control over the computer at the moment? You think it's Jeff? And did Jeff step out? Thank you.
Please sing, Councilman Haverfield. Please sing.
I'm waiting for you to do a somersault. We could help you out.
Yeah, there you go. It's been a while. It's been, I shouldn't say how many years, but things have changed.
Yeah, they have.
I could do a lot then, but I told them the words of wisdom are, make sure you stretch before you get out there and start doing that.
Jacob will fix you after.
Yeah, Jacob can fix it
I
right.
was in to see him today anyway.
I think 2 pom-poms are sufficient.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Mayor, I show that
Yes.
he's muted. I'm not sure what's going on
And we're
there.
not seeing the team. We're not seeing the screen.
I heard him.
Yeah.
I'm here.
Mark, could you show our screen so that we have an idea who's on and we can look at that? Thank you so much. Okay, so our applicant is Nick Barnes, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Nick, thank you for joining us this evening. Could you share your address with us?
I'm located at 4022 East Summit Lane, Nampa, Idaho, 83687.
Thank you. Okay, share with us what you'd like to accomplish.
Mayor, council, men and women, I'd like to, embarrassed to say, I think we've kind of messed up on a prior zoning change when we came to do the vertical construction on this project. And since we're all but to the finish line, in fact, we just finished paving today, extruded curbing here in the next day or two, and landscaping, and this thing's looking pretty awesome. We do have an occupant, CDR Direct Manufacturing LLC, also known as RoboJet, that's looking to run their water jet tech company out of there. And they would be operating between 4 and 10 employees to start, it sounds like. Skilled labor, skilled jobs to add to the community as well, as I'd like to note. But we it'll be tough for them to obtain, final licensing there to be able to operate out of there with that type of business at current RP zoning. And so I'd like to see if we can't get it moved to IL to match a lot of what's surrounding there. I think there's a couple of the parcels directly adjacent to it, and another one just up the street as well. So I don't believe it's anything out of the ordinary there on 39th Street there.
I'm sorry, thank you for that, your comments. I have a quick question. So obviously, it's a statement question. Obviously, you got a building permit for this project, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, but somehow we missed the zoning side of it. And I appreciate your willingness to mention that.
Yes, no problem.
Okay, council, do you have any questions for the applicant? Okay, so Mr. Nick, thank you for being here. So the process that we're going to go through is that we're going to have a staff report, and then because it is a public hearing, we'll open it up for comments. And then if you will listen to the questions and comments, we're going to come back to you, and we'll let you close at the conclusion. So we'll be back to you in just a minute.
Absolutely, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Rodney.
You bet. Thank you, Mayor. Mayor and Council, as has been mentioned, this is to change from RP to IL, Light Industrial Zoning District, at 512 North 39th Street. And the applicant's comment that you've heard this evening is to provide space for a light industrial use for manufacturing, and it sounds like a tech business. So let me go over the property details here. This is just located south of Garrity Boulevard on 39th Street. And you can see the designation here on the map for the comprehensive plan. It is in the high-density residential, but it is next to industrial. And that area has quite a bit of industrial surrounding it. The zoning in the area is RP, and as was mentioned, they rezoned to RP to provide a contractor's office and building space. So we have a contractor's, what we call a contractor's office, and it's an office space and then space for manufacturing or whatever that is, or storage of equipment in the rest of the building. And so at that point, that's what he requested. We went through that process, and I'll go through the history a little bit, but that was approved by City Council to go to RP rather than the IL or the RA in that area. Utilities are available, and I'll highlight those right there on 39th Street. This is a picture of an aerial view of the property. That building right there that you see is gone, and I think I have a slide in a minute to show you what is on the property right now. So May 18th, 2020, that's when City Council approved the rezone from RA to RP for a professional construction office. And January 2021, a building permit was issued for the Shell Steel building. Again, these are shell buildings, and so they don't necessarily have a tenant in from the very start. They're looking for tenants to fill that. 2021, the building was constructed and parking lot is being completed right now. A certificate of occupancy can be issued for the small business manufacturing tenants with current RP zoning. So the applicant is requesting the new zone to match the land use desired on that property. And in September of 2021, the Nampa Planning and Zoning Commission recommended approval with all conditions proposed in the staff report. So this is a layout of the building that got approved. And then here's a picture of their most recent status. They're just redoing the parking lot right now, so it looks like they're just about ready to pave. And that is the new building there constructed. Conclusions of law, in order to find that or provide an approval of a zoning map amendment, you need to follow these conclusions of law. outlined in our code. And I've highlighted those and stated those in your staff report as well. So correspondence we've received is your typical response from the building department about Title IV following that. And then they just clarified that, that the building has already been constructed and that the building, any existing building which encroaches into the required fire separation distances found in the International Building Code will be evaluated for fire separation distance and requirements for repair will be made at the time of the next building permitting action on this property. Kind of standard language there for protection of our code. And then Nampa Engineering, pretty standard comments here as well. Frontage improvements, right-of-way easements, et cetera, had been previously communicated via the permit review process, and a certificate of occupancy for the building is conditioned upon engineering division final sign-off and acceptance of these items. So that's their way of ensuring that all those conditions are taken care of. So recommended conditions of approval are stated in your staff report and on the screen here, essentially following those recommendations from engineering and building. And here's a motion for your consideration, and I'm happy to stand for questions.
Thank you, Councilman Haverfield.
Rodney, in the history, it doesn't say when the property was annexed. So this has been annexed for quite a while.
It has been.
And it was with an RA.
It was with an RA.
So when the conceptual plan review took place, when the developer came in to look at the potential for this layout, was he given any guidance as far as at that point what the limitations might be for specific tenants over the RP zone?
Yeah. I haven't, I don't have the CPR in front of me in minutes, but they do, what we do in those meetings is talk about what they're requesting and give them options for changing that approach. The RP zone does allow for a lot of different things, and it does allow for the contractor's office like was being proposed. And so it seemed to fit at the time, but when they went to look for a tenant for that space, it's just a little bit different than what they were anticipating. And so then, therefore, the reason for the zone code change.
Now, with the tenant that they're looking to be able to accommodate, that's what's triggering this
Exactly.
Request tonight.
Yeah.
Final question. In a residential professional zone, is there a living unit requirement involved with that at all? Or is it
No.
it just be a use?
It is an allowed use as residential, but it is not
Not a
required.
required use? Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Any further questions from council? Yes.
Yeah, he stated it was a tech business, and I didn't catch all of the details there, but manufacturing business, he said 4 to 10, I believe, employees to start. Yeah.
We'll have him come back and clarify that. Thank you, Rodney. Okay, Nick, could you go ahead and answer that question before we step in? Well, actually, we could do it at the end, but I think I'll go ahead and let you do it right now. The question regarding the business that you're anticipating bringing in?
Yeah, the occupant we're looking at is CDR, Direct Manufacturing LLC, doing DBA as RoboJet. They're located down in Boise now, and as you all well know, there's not a lot of space either for rent or for purchase in the Nampa area, and it'd be great to get additional businesses in that area as it seems to just be opening up. So they do precision water jet cutting services, and forgive me, I'm not a super techie guy, so I know they do a lot of CAD drawing stuff for various things. I think they did a lot of cutout work for the Big Jump facility downtown Boise, a lot of the signage and things like that. So it's not a huge company by any means, as the facility is probably not appropriate for some massive company, but plenty of skilled jobs there going into that location if so allowed.
Great. Thank you very much. Okay, So this is a public hearing, and I don't see that we have anyone signed up to testify on behalf of or in opposition to this particular request. Is there anyone here that had intended to speak this evening? Okay, seeing none. Nick, do you have any closing comments before we close our public hearing?
No, I mean, of course, I'd just like to encourage everybody to as it sounds like, bring additional business and stuff to the city of Nampa. Definitely need additional space like that. So I'm sure hope you'd give this deep consideration to let a good company come into the area.
Thank you very much. Council, do you have any questions for the applicant before we close public hearing? Seeing none, I'd stand for a motion to close public hearing.
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
What is the will of the council?
Mayor Kling,
Yes.
I would move to approve the zoning map amendment from RP Residential Professional to IL Light Industrial Zoning District and Potential Development Agreement at 512 North 39th Street and in case number ZMA 149-21 for Nick Barnes. The original concept for a small manufacturing business with all proposed conditions of approval and conclusions of law.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, roll call.
Rodriguez?
Yes.
Berner?
Yes.
Mucci?
Yes.
Haverfield?
Yes.
Bauer? Levi?
Yes.
Mr. Barnes, you have been approved, and thank you for joining us this evening, and we look forward to a thriving business in that location.
Awesome. Thank you all for your time. I appreciate all of you.
Thank you. Okay, let's move on to public hearing. Our second public hearing, item 6.2 on the agenda. This is an action item. This is a variance of Nampa City Code 102320, limiting the sign area to 200 square feet and sign height to 200 feet in order to construct a sign 300 square feet and 65 feet in height at 16188 North Merchant Way. This is for Idaho Guns and Outdoors. And our applicant is Image National, representing Turtle Creek West LLC. Is our applicant here this evening? Thank you. As you come forward, thank you for stating your name and your address.
Thank you. Good evening. My name is Shelley Stirrat, Stirrat. My address is 2098 North Stonecrest Way in Eagle, Idaho. I am the single member of Turtle Creek West LLC, and also the single member of Gulfstream Outdoors, doing business as Idaho Gun and Outdoors, both entities here in Idaho. And Image National is not here. This is our application, though, for height, for a variance for our signage for our new building. It's going up there in that vacant lot on Merchant Way, which is an artery road, as you can see, right off the freeway. There's nothing that is going to be built between our property and the freeway there. And my understanding is if we were on the freeway, we wouldn't have this signage limitation, but because of that artery road, I guess we do. And so this is a property that we purchased. At the time, it was 3 parcels. And I guess we could have had 3 signs. But we did a reduction survey to reduce the density. So it will just be 1 retail store. And so we're just looking for 1 sign to market our retail store. We currently employ about 15 Idaho residents, Treasure Valley residents. I presume once we have a Boise store. I presume once we open up this Nampa store, we should probably be up to about 30 residents, a bulk of which will be here in Nampa. And we're just a small business, not a corporate, just us. Anyways, so after we reduced the density to make it the 1 parcel, we are constructing a prefabricated metal building from our R&M Steel out of Caldwell, keeping everything local as we can. And we just need a sign to start getting traffic off that freeway to this new business to hope for it to succeed. The traffic on the highway flowing west, there's a bit of a curve there you can see in the highway. And so visibility is a little tougher, and so we'd like to give customers as much time as they can to safely exit that freeway and know that that's the exit they need to get off of in order to get to us. And similarly, the traffic flowing east, there's an overpass just west of us there. And so in order for that traffic to know that that's the exit they need to get off, the height of the sign we're trying to ask you for would allow those eastern travelers to see that that's the exit they need to safely get off of, the freeway to see us. Our goal is for the customers of the Treasure Valley and Nampa and Canyon County to be able to see our store and know how to get there. It's a little challenging because of that Merchant Way. It's not a direct shot, and so our hope is that this height sign, the signage being 65 feet, will allow them to see where we are and figure out how to get to us since it's not on a direct road. As far as the hardships go as to why we do need this variance, currently, just to the west of us, I don't know if you can see it on that aerial there, but is a 65-foot Target sign. So directly on the property to the west, we're competing with that large Target pylon sign. And directly to the east of us is Batteries Plus, and I think they have a 40-foot sign. So we are trying to compete with visibility with those two neighbors without trying to clog up the area. The frontage of our lot is about 240 feet, I believe. So it's not like it's too congested with signage, but we do need our signs to be able to be visible in comparison to the 65-foot Target sign and the 40-foot Batteries Plus. Also, as I understand it, the code is requiring the footage limitations be from grade level. And of a particular issue for our parcel that makes it a little challenging is we have a huge berm. It's about a 10-foot berm in front of our property that divides the highway from Merchant. And so even if we start at grade level, we're kind of at a disadvantage because we have that berm already in front of us. Also, since we purchased this parcel, a really nice thing has been that ITD is doing some work on the highway, and that vacant area there right in front of our parcel is the ITD staging area, and will be, from what they tell me, for the next 2 to 3+ years. And so they currently have all kinds of trailers and equipment and whatnot, and so any signage on the face of our building is going to be obstructed at least for another 2 or 3 years if ITD sticks to their time schedule, which I don't know. So we are having that issue. But really, why we're here and hoping to get the sign square footage and height variance is simply so we can get customers to see where we are, safely exit that highway with enough time, and they're not merging, real too quickly and causing problems. And because we are fighting with our neighbors and their signage, because they already have higher than the 25 feet that we're allowed. So we'd ask for that variance for the sign. And
Thank
I'll
you.
stand for any questions when we're finished.
Thank you, Shelley. Are there any questions from council at this time? Okay, thank you. Rodney?
Thank you, Mayor, Council. Excuse me. I think covered this slide already, so I'll move on. The comprehensive plan for this area is commercial, as you can see there on the map. And the current zoning is BC, not much different in looks there from the comprehensive plan, but a commercial building is being constructed on the property for the Idle Guns and Outdoor Retail business. To the north and all the way around is BC, and I'll show some of those businesses on a future slide in just a second. Public utilities all available to the property. So the history, July 28th, 2021, a building permit was issued for a commercial building there. So I think I got a little bit of clarity here from the applicant this morning, or this evening, excuse me, about this. I wasn't sure about this situation. It appears that this Batteries Plus sign is actually on their property, but I wasn't sure, so I just put in here that it may need to be moved if that's where they're placing it, and then, of course, it would be right in front of Batteries Plus. So maybe a little clarification there might be needed from the applicant. I just heard about this, so And you can see here that target sign that they mentioned, and I believe this berm is what they're referring to about the site obstruction for the business. And if this is a view from the freeway, so if this is actually right on their property or on the corner of their property, and I'll highlight that right here is where I believe that sign is. Then you can kind of get a sense of where that building is going to be and where potentially another sign could go if it's not going right where that current sign is. Okay. So our sign regulations are in 1023 of our code. The current code states that they may have a 25-foot height maximum and a square footage of 200 square feet, as has been indicated by the applicant. And so this would fall outside of that. It's for a freestanding pole sign. These are your typical conditions for variance, but just wanted to highlight these. I'm going to highlight them in my staff analysis real quick. You do need to show an undue hardship or that there's some kind of special characteristics of this property that would warrant not applying the code in its current state. And if we were to apply the code in its current state, it would create a damage basically to that property because of certain conditions. And if there's not this undue hardship, you have to find that there are unique site circumstances or special characteristics of the property. And typically those have been related to the property height, or excuse me, the elevation, the topography of the lot, the shape of the lot. That is typically what you'll find in court of law case studies for variances, that is what applies. That's why you can approve a variance, to say something unique is happening with this lot. And so you would have to find that as part of this, this process. The purpose is not to provide a special exception to anyone. You wouldn't want somebody to just be able to come in here and say, I want this, and therefore you grant it. You have to show that there's something different about the property. And I think the applicant has stated their argument there for why it's different. So again, these 5 criteria, excuse me, are in 1024-2 of our code and backed up by case law in the planning world. And I'll go through those a little bit each in just a second here. Standard comments from building department and engineering. Those are in your packet. So let's just analyze those 5 parts of a variance and when is it appropriate. Staff wasn't able to find a valid hardship, but that doesn't mean that there's not one. If you find one here, and if the berm is a hardship, then that could be approved. But just looking at it in general, I couldn't see a apparently clear hardship. And then if that's not the case, you would need to find that there's extraordinary site circumstances. The proximity to a roadway and not being able to be seen from a major roadway is typically not seen as a reason for a hardship or unique site circumstance. But a large berm that prevented vision of the sign might. And then I just wanted to highlight some of the comments we received in the application were that there are taller signs in the area. So why are there taller signs if our code doesn't allow this? I found 4 in the area. There was a variance to allow a 70-foot tall sign advertising for the entire Treasure Valley Marketplace. And that was seen as, from what I could tell from reading back through those minutes, it seemed like what the hardship was is that there's so many properties within that development that they couldn't even be seen from the main roadway. And so they needed to provide a single sign that had multiple signs for each. And so in order to do that, they needed to go higher. So that was the argument there. There was recently a variance for the Chevron gas station. It was permitted to be 50 feet tall and 291 square feet. And the hardship was found to exist due to the Karcher Road off-ramp at the time, preventing a view of the property. The next one was for a variance for the Treasure Valley Crossing, and I just put Sportsman's Warehouse. That's how I remember where that's at. But that one was for a 70-foot tall sign for the entire development, similar to the first one here. And then last of all, the fourth one is for Batteries Plus. Batteries Plus is higher than the required 25 feet. And that is because it was approved at a time where we didn't have that condition of 25 feet. It was allowed to go up to 40 feet, and it was allowed to be up to 670 square feet on that sign at the time. And then following that approval, that provision of the code was changed by City Council.
Rodney, could I ask you a quick question right
Yeah.
there? I think there was a reference to the Target sign also
Yeah.
that was 65 feet. I don't see that
So
included.
that's referring to actually number 3, I believe.
That's the Target.
Or number 1, sorry. Yeah, number 1. So that's there here.
Okay, thank
So
you.
it's advertising for that full development.
Thank you. Yes.
Rodney, are there any signs in that area that are typical to the size requirement, or have most all of them?
Yeah, that's the hard thing about this. It doesn't appear that there's,
Any?
I mean, just in the immediate area, it doesn't appear to be the case, yeah.
Thank you.
Rodney, so looking at this picture, I was going to ask this after your presentation. So the Batteries Plus sign is 40 feet tall?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't know how to measure that, but from what I could tell when it was approved, if it was approved with all the conditions, then that was what was allowed at that time.
So the sign then to the left of it is the Target sign?
Yeah, and it's set back quite a ways, and so you can see that it's
And that's how tall?
much higher. I think 70 feet.
So approval had already been given. What you're saying is for the Batteries Plus sign, approval was given for that location to be about 40 feet tall,
Yeah,
which is actually where they probably would have been putting their sign that they're asking for tonight. So the Batteries Plus sign, I heard you say earlier that it might need to be moved?
and that's something you'll need to clarify with the with the applicant. It looks like it's on their property rather than the Batteries Plus property. So I'm not sure, they may be just going to the northwest a little bit of this, so.
So Mayor,
you.
if I may, Rodney, so if we deny this, then we're down to 25 feet. Is that correct?
Correct, yeah.
So we can also approve something different than the 65 feet
You
that's
could,
requested.
yes. With a variance, you could.
And so we're talking, you said there again, I know it's repetitive, the Target sign currently is what height?
70?
And then there again, Batteries Plus is 40 feet. is your-
As far as I
your-
can
is
tell,
your- Is your
yeah.
estimate. And there again, in your estimation, as you look at signs and all these other things, is 40 feet sufficient to be able to see from the freeway? Going-
Well, their argument, and I heard that tonight, that their argument is if you're going westbound, you're blocked by the view of the overpass, right? As you're going under that overpass, you're not able to see it. Even before you get to that overpass, there's the overpass, and you wouldn't see the sign unless it's large.
So do we have any indication what height it would need to be able to see from that overpass? Or are we taking, which I trust their word, but I mean, have we checked into that?
No.
Okay.
Mayor? So to follow that line of logic, the Batteries Plus sign is not visible eastbound traffic.
If it would be required to be 65 feet to be able to be seen, then I would say, yeah, that's true.
What would be stopping them come back and ask for a taller sign?
Right.
Mayor Kling?
Thank you. And Rodney, I apologize because I interrupted you and it's opened the door of questions, but
That's okay,
yes, go
no
ahead,
problem.
Councilman Rodriguez.
What I've understood is that the idea behind the sign height is the farther away the signs are from the street, from the highway, from the interstate, the higher they need to be for being able to be visible. The shorter distance, not so much. So that's why, is that why you have the 40-foot for Batteries Plus, and now these folks want to have a 65 and higher?
No,
'Cause you can't-
it was just the process that happened in order to approve that 40-foot one. It was approved at a time when the code said up to 40 foot is allowed and 672 square feet of area is okay for a sign. So I can't really speak to the last or past council as to why they got rid of it, but I will say that there was a significant movement from council concerned about the amount of large signs along our freeway.
Well, okay, so the next question is, follow-up, is if we put, is this sign, let's say 65 feet or maybe up to 70 feet, if it's approved and goes in, will it block the view of other businesses or other signs?
Well, I haven't seen
I don't think
exactly where they're planning to put it, but that's a good question. I think it seems like there's plenty of room there, but depending on the angle, you're always going to block somebody else.
Yeah, that's what I was referring, and I'll ask the applicants when you guys come back up again. All right, thank you.
Okay. All right, then site characteristics. So again, you have to find that there's certain site characteristics. The property can be seen from the freeway, but as I mentioned, when passing under the overpass or before you get to the overpass going eastbound, then you would not be able to see it. Okay, deprivation. You have to find that privileges enjoyed by other properties in the same zone are being deprived for this applicant. And so it's not apparent to me that other properties, or that this is unique from other properties, but you would need to find that in order to approve this. Signs exceeding maximum height appear to have shown a hardship or a special site circumstance, or were approved under a form or regulation not in effect today. So you'd have to find those same things. Special privilege, by law, we can't give a special privilege to somebody. You have to show that there's something unique about that property. And so in order to approve this, you would have to find that. And then finally, public health and safety. I couldn't see any concerns with granting it or not granting it for public health and safety. So if council chooses to approve this, these are the conditions of approval that I'd recommend. And here is a couple of potential motions for your consideration.
Thank you, Rodney. Are there any further questions for Rodney at this time? Yes.
How big is that Sportsman's Warehouse sign?
Let's see if I can. I only showed that, I don't have the square footage right here, but it's pretty big because there's multiple signs. Yeah, all on the same posts. Yeah.
I might mention something that I noticed is that the Batteries Plus sign was approved at 40 feet, but it's 600 and some square feet. I don't know what the actual sign is.
So, right, it could go up to 672,
Could.
right?
This request, our current code is 200 square feet at 25 feet, and they're asking for 300 square feet, which is less than half the size of what was approved on the Batteries Plus side.
Correct. Yeah.
So, okay. Thank you. Thank you, Rodney.
Yeah.
So this is a public hearing. That said, we do not have anyone other than the applicant signed up to testify this evening. Is there anyone here that had intended to testify on behalf of or in opposition to this particular hearing? Okay, seeing none, this would be an opportunity for Shelley to come back and give us a wrap.
I wanted to answer, if you don't mind, Councilman Brunner's
Bruner,
questions.
yes.
Bruner's
I called all kinds of things.
As to how we came up to with the 65 feet. And Image National, a sign company in town, went out there with a crane and a big forklift machine, and with some pieces of plywood. And basically, we just elevated that plywood in the air until we were able to see the sign from the eastern bound traffic. Because of that overpass, like the Chevron variance that was granted for their sign, we too have a obstruction issue with that overpass. And so we just lifted it until, oh, we can see now the business sign. And so that's how we came up with the 65 feet. There wasn't anything more magical than that. So I would think that anything less than that, we're going to fight with that overpass.
Okay, so Mayor, if I may, and the Batteries Plus sign is not up yet?
It is up.
It is
Just
up?
standing
And-
there.
And are you able, have you noticed, are you able to see that from the image that you're talking about?
I do not think you can see the Batteries Plus sign from the eastern bound traffic. You can, if you're traveling west, after you get pretty much on it, you'll see it. But the eastern traffic with the overpass, you don't see it.
Mayor, and so clarification, from what this plyboard and in the simulation that was done, what you're saying is 65 feet is the ideal sign height.
That's a-
50 foot, whether it was 40 foot, 50 foot, would not accomplish what you're wanting.
Yes, sir.
Unless it gets up to 65.
Yes. I didn't realize Target next to us was 70 feet, but 65 was what worked for us, what we thought, oh, that we can now see. So not as tall as next door, but, so I did want to answer that question. And also with regard to the elements that the staff just explained to you about the undue hardship, again, we do have that unique circumstance of that berm, which causes our grade to be different. And we do have the ITD staging area right in front of us. And that's not going away, and it just started. So then that's going to be for years, that will obstruct. I wish I had a picture of it to show you. And as far as the last element staff mentioned was the fair treatment, I mean, all of our neighbors have signs taller than 25 feet. So I would hope that you would consider that when you make your motion.
Thank you. I believe there are some questions, so stay put there. So Councilman Bauer and then Councilman Rodriguez.
Awesome company, by the way. I don't know if you remember me. I bought my boy a gun, that Mossberg, the little blonde boy, a couple weeks ago. Amazing customer service. I think my brother was there the day before. You guys are awesome. I'm very excited for you guys to come here. But are you leaving Boise and coming here, or are you going to keep the Boise store?
We'll keep Boise. I mean, it's a lot smaller in Boise, and right now you can see we're kind of imploding with stuff. So the Nampa store will be hopefully our big, nice store, and the Boise will be a smaller outlet, so to speak.
And are you, now you might answer that question, but is your sign going to block off any of the other signs?
No, Target is, I guess, taller than us, and is quite a few. I don't remember the exact feet that Image National told me, but it's at least 300 feet, I believe, from where our sign will be. So it's quite a distance away from us. And as far as Battery Plus goes, it's owned by Tom Sellen, a person we know, and our goals are aligned with Tom that we're just trying to get traffic to our businesses. The more we grow, the more Batteries Plus grows, the more Batteries Plus. So we're not trying to interfere with anyone's signage. And he knows that we're here asking for this.
Thank you, Councilman Rodriguez.
I think my brother Jacob already asked the question I was going to ask, so thank you. But I do have one idea for you, though.
Yes, sir.
65 is the minimum that you'll take, right? So what if I told you to go to 70?
Yes, it'll cost me more money, but yes.
Oh, will it? Oh.
But I'd be happy to do that. These signs aren't cheap, but certainly, yes, that would be fine.
Okay.
We were trying to, that saying, pigs get fed, hogs get slaughtered, we were just trying to do what really needed to be done in order for it to be visible.
And actually, the 65 is the lowest that you began to see the clear vision, the clear
Correct.
view of it.
That's right.
But a higher view would be a little bit different for you, would be better for. And I don't know whether financial, I have no idea how much they
Yes, 70
cost.
would be great. I would.
Yeah.
That would
I
be
don't,
wonderful,
I mean, I don't
but
know how much they cost, but
want to push.
it would be better for you folks. But the other question is, the battery sign is on your property?
Yes.
How does that work?
I think Tom selling, the Batteries Plus owner actually owned all those parcels before and maybe some other land back there. And I don't think when he carved it up, he realized that according to him, his engineers had the sign put on the wrong parcel. I don't know. So he is planning to move his off with Image National, and I think they're in the permitting process here
Oh, they are.
on getting it permitted
Yeah.
and approved to put it over on his land.
So just as a, do you know if he's going to ask for a high, make it higher?
That I
And just-
don't
Yeah, is
know.
another variance like that?
That I don't know. I think we're just moving it.
Oh, I see.
They're gonna cut it, I think, at the, little
Yeah, I
metal
got you.
things and just move it. So I think
Okay.
it will be the same height, maybe he'll lose a little bit just because of the putting it in the ground. Same height.
It'll be the same thing, okay, all right.
But they're asking the city of Nampa for whatever has to be done for that.
Okay, so, question, Mayor?
Yes.
Todd, can we modify this from 65 to 70? Do we have that authority? Or does it have to go through the process again?
Oh, boy.
I'm just thinking out loud, Mayor.
Madam Chair and Councilmember Rodriguez, I'm more comfortable with you reducing it than increasing it when it comes to a notice standpoint.
Oh.
So I don't know if that would be viewed as significant or not, but my advice would be to stay with the 65 or lower.
Okay. All right, there you go.
Thank you, Todd.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions for our applicant at this time? Okay, so this is a public hearing, and I think with that, do you have any closing, are you good to go?
I think so.
Any other comments?
No, I think that's it.
Okay,
very
thank you so
for your
much.
consideration.
Thank you. I would stand for a motion to close public hearing.
Moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
What is the will of the council?
Mayor? Oh, sorry. I just have one question for Rodney still. Since this appears to be a code issue, is there any consideration that, I mean, I don't know how many more parcels are available in that area. Did you say you're the last?
We bought the 3 that were available.
Oh,
sorry,
public-
I can't ask you
Sorry,
that.
I'm
That's it.
sorry,
I'm gonna
because
ask you.
we're outside of the zone, so yeah, we were done asking
Should there be
questions, so,
more?
yeah.
Is this a code change since every single sign has not been that standard height?
That's a really good question. If that is the direction that city council would like to take, then yes, I think we should do that. Variances are not intended to be, well, everybody else is around me is getting it, but it makes you feel like you should, right? Approve variances because everybody else has a larger sign. And that's a problem with code, that if it's not consistent with what you want to see in the future, we should adjust the code.
Well, it seems to
Absolutely.
me if it's impeding the business owner's ability to have their
Right.
sign seen from the freeway, then, that's probably gonna be an ongoing problem. Not just that, we want a bigger sign than 25 feet, but
Mhm.
if it's not indicative of what a business needs, then maybe it warrants code change there.
Mhm.
All right, thanks.
Mayor, for Rodney, just one other thing. For future variances, at least in this area, if someone could go out and actually visualize and see what height should be the minimum height if we do decide to change the code. I mean, before I'd want to change a code, I'd want to know what height then we're talking about.
Yeah, so, I mean, that's a different matter than what's being approved today.
No, I'm not
right?
talking about today, I'm talking about future. As far
Okay.
as Councilwoman Munchie, and you said, well, we probably should change the code if this is not the proper
So,
height.
I'm sorry, Mayor and Council, I just want to repeat it, just so I'm clear. Is the intention there from City Council to be able to see signs in that area from both sides of the overpass?
It makes sense for if I owned a business, yes,
Uh-huh.
that's how I'd want my sign to be.
Yeah, okay. So we can certainly make some measurements and.
I'm talking
try to
about
figure out.
future, I'm not talking about tonight.
Yeah, yeah.
Rodney, can I ask one other question?
Yeah.
If they were to, and it's just a thought, put the Batteries Plus on the same sign, underneath the sign, would that require additional approval, or could they just do that if they chose to?
Yeah, we were just talking about that, actually. I think that our code is written that because it's another sign and there is there's another business and it's an existing pole sign, I think I would have to talk with Todd to confirm, but I think there's probably enough flexibility in the code to say, yeah, you could put your sign on the same poles as the Batteries Plus.
Okay. Not that they would be inclined to do so, but just thought I'd ask the question. Okay. Is there any further discussion?
Mayor?
Yes.
I'm going to be voting to approve, and the reason is, I don't think it's, we talk about hardships, we're going to give corporations in this area huge signs, and companies like Sportsman's that got bought out by Bass Pro, and, you know, you go to Sportsman's now and you can't even, you're going to stand in a line for 2 hours to get the same customer service you're going to get in 2 minutes with these guys. So to me, the hardship of giving all the big corporations big signs, but not giving a small business that is much better, in my opinion, the same sign, large sign as Sportsman's, their competition. I'm going to be voting yes because the hardship is big sign, big sign, big sign, big sign, tiny sign. That's a hardship, in my opinion, and not fair for this business. So I'll be voting yes on this variance.
Mayor, sounds like a motion.
I'd like a motion
I
to
think-
me.
I'll make a motion too.
I'll second it.
Second.
Okay, so is your motion to approve the variance of Nampa City Code just as stated?
As written, with all conditions of the staff report, and any other conditions that
Of
was,
approval?
previously of approval.
Thank you. It's been moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, roll call.
Brunner?
Yes.
Mucci?
Yes.
Levi?
Yes.
Haverfield?
Yes.
Rodriguez?
Yes.
Bauer?
Yes.
You are approved, and thank you for opening your business in Nampa. I trust it is exactly as you've just stated. We're excited. Yes, I think you've got the right community here.
Let us know when your grand opening is.
Yes.
Yep.
Hopefully sooner than later.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'll be there.
Item 6.3, our third public hearing this evening is an action item. This is annexation and zoning to RS 8.5 at 1525 Southside Boulevard. And this is to connect to sewer and utility services. This is a 1.06 acre parcel for Brian C. Warren. Is our applicant here? Good evening. Thank you for restating your name and address for us, and then tell us what you'd like to do.
Good afternoon. Brian Warren, address 1525 Southside Boulevard. Sorry for the stumbles. I'm not a very good public speaker. We recently went through a refinance that led into some kind of really bad downhill spiral. Ended up leading to tear down our septic tank and get issued into the city sewers. So that's where we're at right now, is with that. What was the other question?
That's really it.
Sorry.
What do you want to accomplish? And your address is the 1525 Southside Boulevard.
Yes, ma'am.
So do you have a shop behind your house there? Or is it a single-family home?
It's a single-family home. There is a sign maker right behind us. So our property line is that ditch, that irrigation canal there. So they do have shops behind that.
Okay, great, thank you. Are there any questions for our applicant? Okay, we will go through the process of staff report, public hearing. I don't see anyone signed up to testify, so we'll have you come back with any further questions. Thank you so much. Hi, Parker.
Yeah, it'll be done. Short and sweet. You have 2 minutes.
We'll make this quick. It's surrounded by county. To the east is RS-22. All its utilities are available. The regulations for annexation are in the staff report. Correspondence right-of-way has already been signed and recorded, so that has been taken care of. There were correspondence from the irrigation district. There's an easement for the lateral, 30 feet from each side. Code compliance has a violation for weeds, debris in a vehicle. The applicant, I talked to him today, that he's working with code compliance to solve those issues. The proposed use matches the area. The parcel's enclaved, obviously. The density doesn't meet medium density, so upon future development, if they ever come in and develop the lot, then it will have to meet the RS 8.5 zoning standards. The conditions approval are in the staff report, and any that you would like to add. There's a potential motion for you, and I will stand for any questions.
Are there any questions for Parker at this time?
Did it.
He did good, I know, he did it. Okay. We'll have you back if we have any further questions. So this is a public hearing, and the only person that is signed up is our applicant. So is there anyone here that had intended to testify in favor of or in opposition to this request? Seeing none, our applicant, do you have any further comments other than you would like to connect for utilities?
Yes, I would love to be still connected to it. As per the vehicle and stuff, the vehicle registration to the old Ford that's been there expired in September. Last Wednesday, I got a hold of the DMV and it has been continued. The weeds, we have a company coming in to level and grade out that area and put recycled asphalt inside that whole area there that's in question.
Thank you.
As soon as tax season gets back.
Also, council, do you have any questions for the applicant? Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. So I would stand for a motion to close public hearing.
Move.
All in favor?
Aye.
What is the will of council?
Mayor, I move to approve the annexation and zoning to RS 8.5, zoning at 1525 Southside Boulevard in order to connect to sewer utility services for Brian C. Warren with all conditions listed in the staff report.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, roll call.
Rodriguez?
Yes.
Brunner?
Yes.
Levi?
Yes.
Haverfield?
Yes.
Bauer? Yes. Mucci?
Yes.
There you go. You're good to go. Thank you so much. Thank you. We have two more public hearings, and we're going to move to item 6.4 on the agenda. This is an action item. This is annexation and zoning to RS6 at 1427 Southside Boulevard in order to connect to sewer utility services. This is a 0.62 acre parcel for Brian and Sharon Depew. Yes. Hi. Hello. Welcome. And so go ahead, is your address the?
1427 Southside, yeah, he's our neighbor. He's about 4 houses down. So, our leach field failed where it is, where the septic is, and where our well is. Our home is right there. That little black dot in the area between our shop and the house is our well. We cannot put another leach field in anywhere, so we have to annex in. So that's where we're at.
I'm so sorry, but
Yes.
it is what it is. I
It's
know.
grim, so.
I know.
So we ask that you finish what we started.
Okay, that's good.
Mayor,
Well,
is this an enclave, or you know, if you're in, I mean, is this, okay.
it would be.
I know, not good news for you, but
Right.
Yeah.
I like to bring in enclave areas.
Yeah. Okay, so with that, we'll have a staff report. We'll go through the public hearing, and you guys are the only ones signed up, so it should be, we'll move through this quickly. Thank you for waiting this evening. Hi, Doug.
Doug's gonna manage.
Okay, Doug, you
here
have
we
it
go.
standard, right?
Mayor and council. So this property is in a residential area. It meets all of the conditions required for the comprehensive plan, and it would be compatible with the other properties in the area. And it does have utilities available. Comments that we received were either no comment, and, or there was no other action required. There is some requirement from engineering, which the applicant is taking care of. All of the regulations are stated in your staff report. This was stated as a recommendation from the Planning and Zoning Commission. And with that, the conditions of approval are also stated in your staff report. And here are the motions in front of you.
Thank you, Doug. That was perfect. Good job. Okay, this is a public hearing. Thank you. We'll come back. I'm going to assume there were no questions for staff. Okay, this is a public hearing, and the only people that we have signed up are our applicants. Is there anyone here that had intended to testify on behalf of or in opposition to this? Seeing none, this is an opportunity for our applicant. Do you have any other comments that you'd like to make? No? Okay. And then, council, do you have any other questions for our applicant? No? Okay, I would stand for a motion to close public hearing.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Council discussion.
Mayor, I'll make a motion to approve the annexation and zoning to RS6 at 1427 Southside Boulevard in order to connect to sewer utility services for Brian and Sharon Depew,
Second.
Second.
with all conditions of approval.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion?
Not you.
You won.
I beat Sandy.
Seeing none, roll call.
Rodriguez?
Yes.
Brunner?
Yes.
Levi?
Yes.
Haverfield?
Yes.
Bauer?
Yes.
And Munchy?
Yes.
I do have a quick comment, and I don't know if this is even a possibility, but we do have, and this would be through economic development and our loan program. I don't know if there are any funding opportunities from the city when there's a hardship created. And so that might be something to follow up on, if you don't mind. And so I think we have your address. If you want to call the city and ask that question, you might ask. I don't know if there is, but it might be worth the ask. If there is some type of homeowner's loan available for that type of situation that you're in with that hardship. So,
Welcome to the city. City living.
yes, yeah. Well, I think that's it, and thank you guys for coming forward. So I'm sorry for your situation, but we wish you the best. Okay, thank you. Okay, our last public hearing is an action item. This is the amendment of Title VI. This is police regulations in Title VI, Chapter 5, bicycles, Title 9, public ways and property, Chapter 5, public parks, Section 2E, prohibited acts pertaining to e-bikes and scooters, revising the bicycle definition and adding e-bike definition, adding e-bikes and scooters to the regulations, defining the locations bicycles can be ridden, stating a maximum speed, and requiring e-bikes and e-scooters providers to enter into a contractual agreement with the city before beginning operation. And our applicant is the city of Nampa. Christy, thank you for being here this evening.
Thank you, Mayor and Council.
Thank you.
After that description, do you have any questions?
All right.
So you are really gonna win.
I will go through the process. I just thought if you just wanted to save a little bit of time.
Just be as fast as the clerks are.
I don't know if I can do that. Okay. So recently, the city of Nampa was approached by an e-scooter company, and you ultimately designed that contract in May. And so staff and the Bicycle and Pedestrian Advisory Committee have determined that, this probably isn't going to be the first time we're asked this question. So we thought it would be important to take our code and bring it kind of up to speed so that the next time someone came in with this, they would know what our process might be. So we met with the Bike and Ped Advisory Committee to write these codes. We talked with the police department, we talked with the Parks and Recreation Department, and we've also passed this by our legal counsel to draft the final ordinance of these changes. The applicable regulations for code changes are that they would be reasonably necessary and in the interest of the public, which we believe these to be. There was no correspondence given on these. Obviously, Planning and Zoning Commission recommended approval to you, and then your possible motions are listed in your staff report, and I will stand for any questions.
I just want to say, Christy, thank you so much for your leadership in this. I appreciate it. Because of your work with Bike and Ped and your understanding of all, I thank you for
Oh,
taking the
absolutely.
initiative to clean things up and be ready to go. 'Cause
Absolutely.
You're right, it'll probably come back. So thank you. Are there any questions? Okay, good job.
Thank you.
So if you want to, well, if there are no questions, there's no questions. So this is a public hearing. There is not anyone that has signed up to testify. Is there anyone here this evening that would like to testify on behalf of or in opposition to this particular issue? Seeing none. Council, do you have any questions for Christy? Jacob, you are so ready.
No, I don't.
Seeing none, I would stand for a motion.
I traveled to Cincinnati, me and my boy, and we rode the bikes. Did I send a picture?
There you go. So you've got it.
Just letting you three know the disappointment.
You say Cincinnati.
You can buy it.
Cincinnati.
Mayor, did the councilman say Cincinnati? What's the population of Cincinnati?
That's pretty big. Still nice.
A little big.
Okay. So with that, this is a public hearing, and in that there is no testimony, I would stand for a motion to close public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Any additional council discussion?
So, excuse me, Mayor, so this says that we can no longer have scooters or e-bikes, whatever that is, right? No?
Oh, just the opposite, well.
Okay, cool. All right, I want to clarify that. I'm going to go with my brother Jake over there.
Okay.
Voting against it.
What is the council decision here?
Mayor Kling, I'll make the motion to approve the amendment to Title VI as proposed to us in our packet.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion?
Was there a lot of police discussion with this?
We discussed it. Do you want to come and talk about it?
I assume you spoke to Lieutenant Scobie quite a bit about this.
I met with you. I met with him in his office, and we went through the code changes for this. Yes,
Chief Huff, do you want us to approve?
We need to remember that Chief Huff has had chicken pox, so.
Ooh.
Who eats donuts?
Okay. So it's been moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none? Roll call.
Rodriguez?
Yes?
Machi?
Yes.
Levi?
Yes.
Bauer?
Yes.
Burner?
Yes.
And Haverfield?
Yes.
That concludes our public hearings this evening. Christy, thank you so much. I'm debating about, I know we want to push through, it would be great to get out of here early, but I think a bathroom break would be in order if that's okay. So let's take a 5-minute break. think we've been 10 minutes.
He's on the NDC board. He's not anymore. He was the.
So here we go.
Okay, back to 5.
It is Cliff. Yes.
Hi, Margie.
I don't. Cliff, we're going to have you on the next agenda. Since it's not agendized, we won't tonight, but we will on the next one. Thank you. So staff report. Yes, that is Cliff. Yeah. Next staff report you're on. Okay, we're ready for 5.2 under new business. And this is the declaration and explanation of council's intent to exchange the property owned by the city located at 11 13th Avenue South, Nampa, 7 13th Avenue South, Nampa, and 5 13th Avenue South for property not currently owned by the city located at 824 First Street South, and to authorize the November 15th public hearing for property exchange. This has been reviewed and approved by legal. And I see Robin is down, but I'm not sure if anyone, Cliff, you're on.
So move.
Second.
If he wants discussion, that's
Again,
fine.
discussion is just to authorize the public hearing.
This is, yes.
Just resolution to set the public hearing.
Okay, so that was easy. It's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? See none, roll call.
No.
Yes.
Yes.
Bauer,
Yes.
Haverfield,
Yes.
and Brunner.
Yes.
Okay. Item 5.3 on the agenda is to authorize the mayor on behalf of the city to participate and execute the opioid settlement agreements. And Todd, would you like to make any comments on this?
Madam Mayor, just in case, you've got hundreds of pages of agreement in your packet, but I'll just try to hit the high points and then answer any questions.
That's a bad pun.
What's that?
That's a bad pun.
Yeah.
High points.
Opioid.
Oh, yes, okay, that's true. I didn't think about that. Good.
What are you eating?
She's listening, yes.
He's eating something.
Gene's awake.
I'm usually thoughtful about what I say. I didn't catch that one. So, this is to approve the city participation in an opioid settlement agreement. There's been litigation by the state of Idaho against Johnson & Johnson, one of the opioid manufacturers and their distributors, for the marketing practices and impacts of opioids on the community. There may be some other local government entities that are participating, but it's a nationwide set of litigation. And the state of Idaho and some others that are participating have reached a settlement with the opioid providers. And with that settlement, that allows local governments to participate in that settlement, even if you're not litigating currently. Pursuant to that settlement, you qualify, you're a city over 10,000. Idaho is guaranteed under the settlement at least $64 million as a base settlement to be split up. I'll talk about that in just a minute. If they get enough qualifying local government entities to participate, then that number goes up to a maximum of $120 million to be divided among the state and the local entities. These are not federal dollars, so they don't come with federal strings. This is settlement money from Johnson & Johnson and the distributors, but there are limitations on what you can spend it on. That's the main issue, and that's in Exhibit E. And I'll talk about that in just a moment. The monies are paid over a 9-year period for Johnson & Johnson and over 18 years from the other distributors. So you don't get a big chunk, you get money over time. The default split with the state, if we don't reach another agreement, which they're confident they can get there, but it's 15% to the state, 15% to locals, and 70% into this trust fund that's managed by a trust to help with opioid mitigation. The option the state is pursuing is better from my perspective. It's 40% to the state, 40% to locals, and 20% to the health districts. So it's all controlled by local entities. It has to be spent for what's called opioid remediation. And as I mentioned, that's in Exhibit E. It's on page 310 in your packet if you want to look at it. But there's a lot of treatment and education in it. The city doesn't do a lot of treatment and education, but There are some criminal justice aspects to it. There's opportunities for diversion programs, officer intervention strategies, drug abuse prevention, maybe some programs with our SROs as far as drug education in the schools, law enforcement training in dealing with drugs. They specifically call out fentanyl, which is a horrendous problem in Idaho and very dangerous, and officer wellness programs. So I think we can sit down with Chief Huff and find things that this will help offset costs to the city. Way to participate is to authorize that participation, then the mayor registers the city. They have the agreements, they're sent out, you sign the agreements. If we get that 40-40-20 split, there's a separate application agreement that'll be entered into. But essentially what you're doing is giving up your right to sue these companies. It's settling. We haven't had any expression of desire to sue these companies as a city, so I don't think you're really giving up anything. Suing these cities outside this, or suing these companies outside this settlement would be really expensive, and so that's the gist of those agreements, and I'd be happy to answer any questions if you have them.
Mayor, I do have a, go ahead.
Sorry, Mayor Quinn. Todd. So the way that, because we know that opioid addiction hits our rural areas just as significantly as our more urban, suburban, that's why they can apply as counties? Is that right?
It's called out in the settlement agreements. The counties can apply, cities over 10,000, the state. There's a couple of other local government entities in there. That's just what the entities agreed to, including the federal government. The federal government's litigating this as well, but again, it's not their money.
So it will provide treatment options across the state based on how they apply for dollars.
The state will control 40% of those funds. Health districts, if we get that agreement, health districts will control 20%, and the cities will control 40%. And you'll get divided up among the cities that participate of that 40%.
So Mayor, I don't know if it's Chief Huff or Todd or Councilwoman Mucci. I'm just wondering how, I'm for sure in favor of this, but how big a challenge are we currently having in Nampa with the opioid? Is there any type of figures or anything with ComStat?
Well, and fentanyl too, which would be considered in that.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I don't have the numbers with me.
Right,
but
and
yeah,
I don't
can
expect-
say
I don't
it's
expect that, but
it's
it's-
a huge problem and it's continuing. There's right now, I mean, that would be our number one.
And what is the main age demographic?
Oh, gosh.
Any
if you're-
idea?
For opioids, it would be younger. For the fentanyl, it's all across the board. There isn't an age. I would say the opioids would probably be in the late teens to early 20s would be the vast majority that we're seeing. as
And
far
who,
as-
who is distributing?
Well, the fentanyl would be Mexican cartels, actually. And I believe it was probably about a month ago, I got a stat from the DEA, and right now 27% of the pills that are coming out, so basically 1 in 4 is a fatal amount of fentanyl in the pills, the black market pills. As far as the opioids, that's a lot of that is just stealing, theft, taking grandma and grandpa's pills or the pain pills that were prescribed to them or over-prescribing, and then, kids are trading them to their buddies and stuff. And that's the danger with that. There's not whether it's a pain pill or whatever type of pill it is that they're taking, there's just no rhyme or reason. They'll just take it. And so that's where we see the overdoses on that, because it's pills that aren't prescribed to them.
And Gene, so what is the main reason a kid would take opioids? I mean, to get high, to what extent? I mean, what type of, are we hallucinating? I guess I'm just trying to educate.
And that's the problem. It's a mixture. It can be the pain pills, it can be the hallucinations, it can be whatever. It's just like grab a handful of pills and go, or put it in the punch bowl at the party or whatever and let it all mix.
So just kind of a new experience that.
It's just a cheap high.
They're called farm parties, but
They're called what?
farm parties, but it's pharmaceutical.
Oh,
farm parties.
Okay.
It could also be, though, in a suicide attempt.
Oh, absolutely.
And that's the thing that we don't maybe talk about or consider as much.
Okay.
Darwin? When I was playing junior college football, I got some really severe injuries, separated shoulder, broken clavicle. I was playing for a scholarship, so I started taking those to keep playing so I could get a scholarship. And it was hard for me to get off them. They're extremely addictive. And I've never been addicted to anything in my life, but they're just you know, for our kids, you start taking them, it's very, very addictive to get off them, Brett Favre, other, lots of, it's not just kids, it's everyone.
So Councilman Munchie, just one step further. So I've read some things, but what are we doing from a MD prescription standpoint? I realize, as Chief Huff said, kids are taking it from grandma and grandma's, cabinets and so on, but how are we, are doctors still prescribing them? Are they being a little more careful in your estimation?
Yeah, so there's good education on it, and there's also, that's why we have integrated medical records now. So people used to doc shop, they just bounce from doctor to doctor, and now with integrated medical records, you can see where people have been. And if they're going to 6 or 7 physicians to try to get hydrocodone or whatever, we can flag that. And then we work with the police departments on drug take back. There's one coming up in Caldwell. It's crazy how much they get, even on a bad cold day last time. People have a lot of pills, and they'll just shove them under the cabinet and not think about them. But then, if you've got people who are interested, they're easy to find, unfortunately. But the integrated medical record and education is helping a lot, and really trying to give people alternative treatments for pain. As Councilman Bauer was saying, in his clinic, I'm sure he does a lot with more integrated medicine, so that you're trying to keep people from using those pharmaceuticals to deal with pain as much. So it's tough. It's a challenge, but
You think we are at least taking
we're
a step
trying
forward,
hard.
take a step forward.
But you can get it on the black market really, really easily. It's not, you can get it on TikTok. You can get it on Snapchat. It's a problem. And so I think these education opportunities and the way to combat this from multiple approaches is going to be important. I think this is a great opportunity for us.
I agree with that. It is a great opportunity, and I think we should absolutely participate and take part in the opportunity to fund education.
I'd be happy to make the motion.
Thank you.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we authorize the mayor on behalf of the city to participate and execute the opioid settlement agreements. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, roll call.
Rodriguez?
Yes.
Bruner?
Yes.
Levi?
Yes.
Bauer?
Yes.
Machi?
Yes.
And Haverfield?
Yes.
Item 5.4 on the agenda is an action item to authorize the mayor to sign an MOU with the Nampa Fire District for snow removal at the fire stations and training grounds. And this has been reviewed and approved by legal.
So moved. Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, roll call.
Who was the second?
Me. Or I was first, whatever.
Victor first, Randy second. If you don't mind, we'll
I don't mind.
switch it up.
Bruner?
Yes.
Machi?
Yes.
Levi?
Yes.
Bauer?
Yes.
Haverfield?
Yes.
And Rodriguez?
Yes.
Item 5.5 on the agenda is an action item. This is to authorize the mayor to sign an MOU with the Nampa Fire Protection District for the use of fire training grounds by the Nampa Police Department. It has been reviewed and approved by illegal.
So moved, Mayor.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Roll call.
Bruner?
Yes.
Machi?
Yes.
Levi?
Yes.
Haverfield?
Yes.
Bauer?
Yes.
And Rodriguez?
Yes.
Item 5.6 is an action item. This is the first reading of ordinance amending Title IV Building Regulations, Chapter 9, which has to do with flood damage prevention. This is in sections 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. It has been reviewed and approved by legal, and after the reading of the ordinance, it is requested to pass under suspension of rules.
An ordinance of the City of Nampa amending Title IV, Chapter 9, Sections 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 of the Nampa City Code, providing for amendments to the Flood Damage Prevention Code, providing for updated statutory authorization code references, adding and modifying definitions, modifying general provisions, and replacing certain references to federal agencies, and amending provisions regarding alteration of watercourses, providing amendments to conditions for variances and corresponding notices, amending provisions containing flood hazard reduction, general standards, providing an effective date, providing for severability, and repealing all ordinances, resolutions, orders, and parts thereof in conflict herewith.
So move under suspension of rules.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Roll call.
Rodriguez?
Yes.
Levi?
Yes.
Haverfield,
Yes.
Bauer,
Yes.
Mucci,
Yes.
Brunner.
Yes.
Item 5.7 is an action item, and this is for the council to award and bid, authorize the mayor to sign the contract for the Midland Boulevard and Lake Lowell Avenue intersection signal equipment procurement project with Quality Electric for $228,237, and it has been approved in the FY22 budget.
Mayor, I'll make the motion, even though I wish it was for roundabout preparation. Thank you.
I was going to point out that it's for a signal, so I'll second the motion.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, roll call.
Rodriguez,
Yes.
Mucci,
Yes.
Levi,
Yes.
Bauer,
Boy, it was hard.
Yes. Haverfield,
Yes.
and Brunner.
Yes.
Love that enthusiasm. Yes.
Yes.
Item 5.8.
No adjectives in front of it either.
Item 5.8 is an action item, and this is to award the bid and authorize the mayor to sign the contract for the Birch Redundant Force Main Project with Knife River Corporation, Mountain West, in the amount of $1,900,000. This is approved in the FY22 budget. I'm sorry, whatever I just said, $1,960,000. Excuse me, I'm sorry, I misstated that. Thank you for catching it, Daniel.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second it. We'll print the money tomorrow.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion?
Who was the second?
It was Darrell, thank you.
Snide comment.
Rodriguez,
Yes.
Mucci,
Yes.
Levi,
Yes.
Bauer, Brunner,
Yes.
Haverfield.
Yes.
Item 5.9 is an action item, and this is to authorize the mayor and the public works director to sign a contract for the Waterworks Materials Restock FY22 project with Ferguson Waterworks for $164,029.88. This has been reviewed and approved by legal, and it is approved in the FY22 budget.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Roll call.
Rodriguez,
Yes.
Brunner,
Yes.
Mucci,
Yes.
Levi,
Yes.
Haverfield,
Yes.
and Bauer.
Item number 5.10 is an action item. This is authorizing the mayor to sign the memorandum of understanding between the City of Nampa, Canyon Highway District Number 4, and the Nampa Highway District Number 1 to perform the Ustick Road Corridor Planning Study. This is approved by legal and approved in the FY22 budget.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Roll call.
Brunner,
Yes.
Mucci,
Yes.
Levi,
Yes.
Bauer, Haverfield,
Yes.
Rodriguez.
Yes.
And a follow-up to that is item 5.11 on the agenda. This is an action item to authorize the mayor to sign the task order with 6 Mile Engineering for the Ustick Road Corridor Planning Study in the amount of $148,466.50. And this also was approved by legal and is in the FY22 budget.
Second.
Moved by Haverfield, seconded by Rodriguez. Any further discussion? Roll call.
Brunner,
Yes.
Mucci,
Yes.
Levi,
Yes.
Rodriguez,
Yes.
and Haverfield.
We'll now move on to section, I'm
Bauer,
sorry.
did I get you? Yes.
Sorry. Move on to section 7 on the agenda. This is unfinished business, and the first item is 7.1. This is an action item, and it is the first reading of an ordinance for annexation and zoning for multiple portions of the road right-of-way to include the following. 1, a section of Midway Road to be rezoned suburban residential. 2, a section of Cherry Lane to be zoned community business. A section of Northside Boulevard to be zoned light industrial. A section of Cherry Lane to be zoned light industrial. A section of Madison Road to be zoned single-family residential, 7,000 square feet. A section of Star Road to be zoned single-family residential, 8,500 square feet. 7, a section of North Kings Road and East Victory Road to be zoned RS6, single-family residential, 6,000 square feet and light industrial. And 8, a property necessary for the recently constructed Happy Valley Road and Victory Road roundabout to be zoned light industrial. And Daniel Badger is, this is his project, and it is requested to pass under suspension of rules after the reading of the ordinance.
An ordinance of the City of Nampa, Idaho, determining that certain lands consisting of 8 herein described portions of real property and road right-of-way contiguous to the limits of the City of Nampa, Canyon County, State of Idaho, commonly described with the corresponding zoning as follows. 1, a section of Midway Road beginning at the intersection of Midway Road and Orchard Avenue, zoned RA, a section of Cherry Lane beginning east of North Midland Boulevard and Cherry Lane intersection, zoned BC, a section of Northside Boulevard across from 16658 Northside Boulevard, zoned IL, a section of Cherry Lane running east from the Madison and Cherry Lane intersection, zoned IL, a section of Madison Road running south of East Conant Street, zoned RS7, a section of Star Road from the I'm not sure what that's supposed to be. Star Road from the Ustick Road and Star Road intersection going south, zoned RS 8.5, a section of North Kings Road and East Victory Road from the northeast side of the intersection of Kings Road and Victory Road, traveling north along North Kings Road and traveling east along Victory Road, zoned RS 6. Property necessary for the recently constructed Happy Valley Road and Victory Road roundabout, including parcels R305120000, R306740000, R306680000, R306680110, R247030000, and the right-of-way fronting these parcels on all Happy Valley Road right-of-way from South Happy Valley Road and Victory intersection south to the northern boundary of Mason Creek, zoned IL. And that said land should be annexed into the City of Nampa, declaring said lands by proper legal description as described below to be a part of the City of Nampa, determining that said annexation and zoning is in the best interest of the public and is consistent with the comprehensive plan, directing the city engineer and planning and zoning director to add said property to the official zoning maps and other area maps of the city, providing for recordation, providing for severability, providing for an effective date, repealing all ordinances, resolutions, orders, or parts thereof in conflict herewith, and directing the city clerk to file a certified copy of the ordinance and the map of the area to be annexed with Canyon County, State of Idaho, and the Idaho State Tax Commission pursuant to Idaho Code Section 63250.
And as stated, is requested to be passed under suspension of rules.
So moved under suspension of rules.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, roll call.
Rodriguez?
Yes.
Brunner?
Yes.
Levi?
Yes.
Bauer? Mucci?
Yes.
Haverfield?
Yes.
Hopefully that is the longest ordinance we have to read tonight.
I guarantee it, Mayor.
Thank you. Okay, item 7.2 is an action item. This is the first reading of ordinance for de-annexation of a 50-foot wide section of 11th Avenue North, beginning north of Cherry Lane and running approximately 2,626 feet north to the Miller Lateral, totaling 152,255 square feet. And this is for, of course, Daniel Badger representing the City of Nampa Engineering Department. And it is requested to pass under suspension of rules.
An ordinance of the City of Nampa, Idaho, determining that certain land commonly known as a 50-foot wide section of 11th Avenue North, beginning immediately north of Cherry Lane, running approximately 2,626 feet north to the Miller Lateral, totaling 152,255 square feet, more or less, within the limits of the City of Nampa, Canyon County, State of Idaho, and that said lands should be de-annexed from the City of Nampa, declaring said lands by proper legal description as described below to no longer be a part of the City of Nampa, determining that said de-annexation is in the best interest of the public, directing the city engineer and planning and zoning director to remove said property from the official maps of the City of Nampa, providing for recordation, providing for severability, providing an effective date, repealing all ordinances, resolutions, orders, or parts thereof in conflict herewith, and directing the city clerk to file a certified copy of the ordinance, a map of the area to be de-annexed with Canyon County, State of Idaho, and the Idaho State Tax Commission pursuant to Idaho Code Section 63215.
So moved under suspension of rules.
Second?
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, roll call.
Brunner?
Yes.
Levi? Levi?
Yes.
Everfield? Bauer? Rodriguez?
Yes.
Machi?
Moving to 7.3, this is an action item. This is the first reading of ordinance for annexation and zoning to residential professional zoning district for Maple Leaf at 04921 and 5009 Stam Lane. This is a portion of lots 3 and 4 of the Orchalera Heights subdivision and a development agreement for a future subdivision to 30 single-family detached residential, 24 single-family attached residential, 1 commercial, and 3 common lots. This is for Landmark Pacific Development representing William and Linda Larson, and it is requested to pass under suspension of rules.
An ordinance of the City of Nampa, Idaho, determining that certain lands commonly known as 04921 and 5009 Stam Lane, Nampa, Idaho, county parcels R250110000, 25011010000, and R250100000, comprising approximately 7.81 acres, more or less, lay contiguous to the limits of the City of Nampa, Canyon County, State of Idaho, and that said lands should be annexed into the City of Nampa and zoned RP, declaring said lands by proper legal description as described below to be a part of the City of Nampa, determining that said annexation and zoning are in the best interest of the public and consistent with the comprehensive plan of the city, directing the city engineer and planning and zoning director to add said property to the official maps of the City of Nampa and to designate said property as RP on the official zoning map and other area maps of the city, providing for recordation, providing for development agreement, providing for severability, providing an effective date, repealing all ordinances, resolutions, orders, or parts thereof in conflict herewith, directing the city clerk to file a certified copy of the ordinance and map of the area to be annexed with Canyon County, State of Idaho, and the Idaho State Tax Commission pursuant to Idaho Code Section 63215.
So moved under suspension of rules.
Second?
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Rodriguez?
Yes.
Brunner?
Yes.
Levi?
Yes.
Bauer? Haverfield?
Yes.
Machi?
Yes.
And we have 2 more. The next one is 7.4, and this is an action item, first reading of ordinance for annexation and zoning to multifamily residential for 623, 613, 607, and 523 North Happy Valley Road, totaling 3.8 acres for development of the station at Gateway Number 2 multifamily development for Brandon Wallen representing Colby Halker, and it is requested to pass under suspension of rules.
An ordinance of the City of Nampa, Idaho, determining that certain lands commonly known as 623, 613, 607, and 523 North Happy Valley Road, Nampa, Idaho, comprising approximately 3.8 acres, more or less, lay contiguous to the limits of the City of Nampa, Canyon County, State of Idaho, and that said land should be annexed into the City of Nampa and zoned RMH, declaring that said lands by proper legal description as described below to be part of the City of Nampa, determining that said annexation and zoning are in the best interest of the public and consistent with the comprehensive plan of the city, directing the city engineer and planning and zoning director to add said property to the official maps of the City of Nampa and to designate said property as RMH on the official zoning map and other area maps of the city, providing for recordation, providing for severability, providing an effective date, repealing all ordinances, resolutions, orders, or parts thereof in conflict herewith, and directing the city clerk to file a certified copy of the ordinance and map of the area to be annexed with Canyon County, State of Idaho, and the Idaho State Tax Commission pursuant to Idaho Code Section 63215.
So moved under suspension of rules.
Second?
It's been moved and seconded.
He's got that down.
Yes. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, roll call.
Rodriguez?
Yes.
Brunner?
Yes.
Levi?
No.
Bauer? Haverfield?
Yes.
Machi?
And our last item here is 7.5. This is an action item. This is the first reading of ordinance for a vacation of approximately 368 feet by 25 feet rectangular portion of East Orchard Avenue right-of-way north of 623 North Happy Valley Road for development of the station at Gateway 2 multifamily development, all for Brandon Wallen representing Colby Helker. It is requested to pass under suspension of rules.
An ordinance of the City of Nampa, Idaho, determining that certain right-of-way commonly known and described as an approximately 368 by 25-foot rectangular portion of East Orchard Avenue right-of-way north of 623 North Happy Valley Road, Nampa, Idaho, comprising approximately 9,200 square feet, more or less, be vacated as public right-of-way within the City of Nampa, Canyon County, State of Idaho, declaring that said lands and right-of-way by proper legal description as described below to be vacated as a public right-of-way, determining that said vacation of right-of-way is in the best interest of the public, directing the city engineer and planning and zoning director to note the lands described herein as not being public right-of-way on the official maps of the City of Nampa, providing for ownership reversion, providing for recordation, providing for severability, providing an effective date, repealing all ordinances, resolutions, orders, or parts thereof in conflict herewith, and directing the city clerk to file a certified copy of the ordinance with the Canyon County Assessor.
So moved under suspension of rules.
Second?
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion? Roll call.
Rodriguez?
Yes.
Turner?
Yes.
Levi?
No.
Bauer? Haverfield?
Yes.
Mucci?
Yes.
That concludes our regular portion of the meeting this evening, and I would stand for a motion to adjourn into executive session pursuant to Idaho Code 742061F to communicate with legal counsel for the public agency to discuss the legal ramifications of and legal options for pending litigation or controversies not yet being litigated but